or the 16.
Apparently we're live.
Hello, people of the internet. We have been doing a rather shoddy job of trying to set up a bit of a live in-person podcast.
We're true professionals, aren't we?
Exactly. Well, you've been having a sleep, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I was having a kip just before the show.
I'll have you know, he was conserving his energy to give maximum energy for the show today.
He's topped up. He's got coffee. He's ready to go.
Yeah,
he is on point.
I've got my alcoholic carbonated beverage. I am ready to go.
I've got to say, you have to admire Alan's professionalism. He's willing to risk it all by taking a nap on the sofa pre-show. You know, it's like I feel like we should have a Rocky montage of the day or something of Alan's pre-show routine.
Pizza.
And then just on the shot at the end of the garden.
I don't smoke.
Anyway. So, what's been going on today? Has anything happened?
Alan had a kit apparently.
I had a nice afternoon sleep. I don't remember anything else going on, if I'm
I
honest.
thought we were just getting together because we could now.
Yeah.
Yay! This is the point.
Of course.
We threatened to do this a long time ago.
We did. Of course, it has been the Xbox Bethesda showcase today. So that was at 6 p.m.
Yeah,
I
thought I saw Todd.
Yeah, Todd is.
To be honest, you thought that was a dream, didn't you, while you were having a nap? I dreamed about the new Forza.
He does need to get a new
But does he? He wears it so well.
He does wear it well.
And he hasn't worn it out. I reckon. Do you know that coat only comes out for showcase? He doesn't wear it any other time.
He's got a whole wardrobe.
There's basically a mannequin.
He's a cartoon
stands
villain.
by his wardrobe, and it just says Bethesda Showcase above it. And he just, as you said, he gets back after doing it. He puts it back on the mannequin, and then he just leaves it there.
I reckon it's re-vacuum sealed. Like he puts it back in the bag, zips it up, and
it's like
and
Indiana Jones' hat. He's not Indiana Jones unless he's got the hat on. That's exactly what it is.
And of course, our friend and saviour, the almighty Phil Spencer.
Not that Phil, just to make clear. It looks like you're worshipping Phil over here.
No.
And so you should be.
So
that I charge for.
Yeah.
Hey!
What we're going to do today, so this is very strange, us all being in the same room. You know, we're usually quite good at, kind of sitting in these cameras going, waiting for our turn to speak, but we're going to try not to talk all over each other like we do when we're in the room. It's not going to happen. Let's try. And apologise for the poor audio quality because we've just got a kind of a singular mic that's trying to pick everything up. Bit of a last-ditch attempt to try and make it semi-okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through piece by piece everything that was announced on the Xbox Bethesda showcase, and we're all going to get our thoughts on it. So I'll kind of divvy it up around the room, and then we can all kind of pitch in on it and see where we go. So let's start from the top. They opened the Xbox Bethesda showcase with, well, what I think was quite a banger. One thing that we've really been looking forward to seeing, which was Redfall.
Loved it.
From Arcane Studios. Vampire, co-op, powers, guns, explosions, blood, leveling, all sorts of malarkey. So, what do you think, Chris?
I said to you guys when we were watching it, I wasn't sure what to make of it from the CG trailer they showed us last time. I thought the concept was interesting. I wasn't sure what the game was going to be. I kind of expected a Left 4 Dead, and I think it was going to be like these little bubble missions, like a thing, everyone has their powers, very much a class thing, which it still looks like it's got elements of that, but then the whole open world, the exploration, I was getting echoes of, dare I say, the live service model, but that kind of leveling progression, team up, explore the world, possibly looting up, etc. So the very initial opening where it was in the attic, the girl was wandering through, you get the voice of the shot. Yeah. I was like, okay, this just looks pretty generic. The combat started, and I was like, it looks alright. And then we had the first particle explosion. I was like, alright, that's pretty cool. And then more of them came along, and then we started seeing all the powers come out as the thing went off, and I was like, alright, you know what? I mean, this looks wicked. It looks like an absolute banger.
I think Chris did audibly shout, "Particles!"
Yeah. Well, I think my exact comment was, I went, just before I said, this is series only, isn't it? And you went, yeah. Then there's this massive, ridiculous particle explosion. Went, particles! Yeah, you can tell that's a part of Series X because of that. So absolutely. I think they've taken what I was moderately excited for and thought looked really interesting. It's a game I'm now properly pumped for, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that. That looks absolutely banging, I think.
What were your thoughts on it, Alan? Before, from the early CG trailer, obviously, we didn't know a lot about it.
It was interesting, wasn't it? It didn't really give much out, did it? And I mean, Arcane, they've got a very, very unusual and lovely artistic style, haven't they, in things like Prey and Dishonored. And you can definitely see that with Redfall. But like Chris, I wasn't really sure what the gameplay was going to be. Left 4 Dead tones of that. And when you saw the trailer, it was just like the action seems fast, frenetic, just fun, and that's what you want from this type of game. Don't you? We just want fun, and the classes seem distinctly different enough that you get to choose and have your strengths in a team that you're made up of. I'm not sure about the online capabilities, but it's an open world, isn't it? So is it just drop in and drop out? Or
we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully drop in, drop out, and that kind of game is where it needs to be, I think.
Yeah. I would
it's the kind of modern age. If it's not doing that, it makes it difficult. Like, you remember the old like Halos, we had to party up at the start and then load into your level. I can't see them doing that kind of thing.
And it's the thing, I've had so many games I've been excited for that do exactly that still, and it really breaks that, because you kind of want that ability just to drop into a mission and carry on.
Then one of your mates comes along, and you're like, right, back
just jump in right at the end of the mission.
Dying Light does that really well. You can just like set it in the options panel and just say, I just leave it open for my friends, and then I used to do that. Jules would just I'd be playing, and he'd just jump in, and then also be like, "Hello, mate." It's like, I didn't even know you were in my game, and it's like, cool, that's really cool. So if it's as simple as that, I mean, the actual gameplay looks fantastic. And again, I didn't see anything with bots or stuff like Left Dev style. So how's that going to work? Because I think it was 5 different character classes.
Scales it, I guess.
So is it going to do the same thing? Are you going to have AI? How's the AI going to be?
I think they did mention you could do it on your own.
I think
so maybe it could just be a case of going in solo without bots. That would
maybe.
You know, and it might be a case of, actually, I can't go and do this church with 17 vampires in it because I'm on my own, I need help.
Or you need to level up max till you can do it. And then
but it definitely seems like the sort of game that you want to get together with your buddies and play. But it looked, I was very impressed, and it looks a lot of fun, as I said.
There was a particular point, one of the abilities that I went, oh, that's cool. There was one where she kind of goes running. One of them, she puts like a magic lift, elevator into the floor. They run on, and it fires them up into the air. And another one where they like kind of stuck a stake down.
It looked like a crossed stake, and it had like a UV light on it that froze them.
Yeah.
That looked really cool.
That was really cool. Yeah.
I mean, that couple of my sort of real standout. Is there anything that kind of stood out to you?
So, I mean, again, like you guys, obviously, we didn't know what was going to be on with this game. From watching that, I got very much vibes of like the Hunt Showdown, but open world. And it's almost like the Hunt Showdown with superpowers. So instead of you going in and there's a giant, horrible, hairy spider,
you just die,
and you just get killed, and then somebody else comes along and caps you in the back of the head because you concentrate on the giant, hairy spider. It feels like very much you're just going to go in and ruin everything in front of you. And again, like you boys, I was quite impressed when as soon as they did that first vampire kill and staked him in the chest, and he went. It's like, ooh.
What else I really liked from that brief period where towards the end of it they were showing the comboing of skills and abilities in the team. I thought it looked really cool. Like, so if you get your team working well as a unit, you can really bounce off each other. And I love that kind of. So one of the things that I know everyone knows I'm a hardcore Division guy who listens to the podcast. Just recently we've been back into it, and I've really enjoyed we've been making builds that are complementing each other and buffing each other's build. That's been a thing. So I'm hoping that it'll have elements of that to it as well, because it's got that kind of stuff, and it's all about that team play dynamic. That could be really exciting. I love the sort of vibe, the atmosphere, and I love the voice acting that was in the trailer. I'm really hopeful for this now. Really, really hopeful. I think it's going to be a
it's been less than 10 minutes into the podcast, and Chris has already got an actual reference into the Division. I mean, that's got to be a new record.
I'm sitting in Division.
I haven't even mentioned Ark yet. I mean, I'm an amateur.
But we know that's coming. We know that's coming. You've got your moment. You've got your moment. I didn't have any Division stuff, sadly.
Also, you can wear an Ark t-shirt, so, that's why you're already one step behind him.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's you mentioned the whole kind of Division type stuff, and I hope it doesn't push into a live service game.
I hope it's got the elements that I like of that, like with the leveling, the co-op, and all that stuff, without the toxic elements of live service.
More Outriders than Division. So just to play, you can play through it and enjoy it and stuff. So what were you going to say, Phil?
I very much expect there'll be some cosmetics for sale in there.
That's fine.
I'm still questioning what the story content will be like. I hope it's not just you need to go and just wipe out this conclave of vampires in the tower, and then that's your next mission. And then they just give you I thought they looked like really flimsy objective, and they just hope the gameplay mechanics will carry you through. Because
I thought there was a sniff of some lore in there and some stuff to explore. It looked more to it.
It didn't show us enough in there to make that kind of cool. So I worry it still could go either way. At the moment, the gameplay is carrying it, and that could be good. But much like those previous kind of Left 4 Dead games, if there's no reason to drive you through to the next level, it could get stale quite quickly.
But so far, first impressions looks exciting.
I'm excited for it. I think it's a very valid point, Phil. And I think it's a very.
I think that very much the lifespan of this game will be defined by the quality of how they drive you into these
That's
levels.
the sort of with the Left 4 Dead was fun. You come back because it was fun, whereas Back 4 Blood, the problem was there was no fun to it. It wasn't. There wasn't a drive to come back. Whereas Left 4 Dead back in the day, going, oh, it's someone for a Left 4 Dead, and it was like that fun element that would drive you in. It wasn't
tank.
Those moments,
you need that panic moment, don't you?
Those moments like that. I'm hoping it's got those. It look like it's going to happen, to be fair. So I'm really hopeful there. So super hopeful.
Yeah, it's nice to have vampires instead of zombies for a change. You know me, I love zombie games. I play them constantly.
Stuff going on in this. I think there's vampires are the new zombies.
Resurgence.
Yeah. Everyone at the same time thought it's time to finish them zombies. But I think in terms of the kind of story stuff, Arcane Studios, Prey,
Dishonored, wasn't it?
Dishonored 1 and 2, heavy, top quality story games.
Yeah.
And even with Deathloop. I mean, I've not played Deathloop. No, I thought, I'm going to wait until it comes to Game Pass. But it seems again like the depth of lore that you mentioned. That like there seems like there's a lot of that in there. So I think
there's a lot of scene setting. It's just how much.
I'm really hopeful. This took the game from it looks great. So I really want to play that game now. Day one for definite for me.
Defo, brilliant stuff. Cool. Right, moving on to the next thing that popped up. We were all sitting there going, "What is this? It looks kind of like Ori, but like Hollow Knight. But what is it?" And it turns out it actually was Hollow Knight Silksong. Which it's a 2D side-scrolling platform game. Again, very well akin to Hollow Knight and Ori, funny enough. Really beautiful art style. Again, very similar to the Hollow Knight sort of style. I have never played Hollow Knight. Has anyone here played Hollow Knight?
No.
Right. So I'm going to be honest. There's not a lot of point going through that. It looked nice. It looked like a good fun.
I'm not a good gauge. If it's your type of game, you're going to make a better sort of like.
It looked like it was a good version of what it was trying to be, but it's hard to say for sure.
All we can advise here is go and watch the video and make your own decision.
Yeah, equally, it's a very short trailer.
There's none. It's not our
It's hard to compare against games of the same like because I don't play games
about the
of the
only
same
one I've played
like
is Ori, and Ori's brilliant. And if it's anything like Ori, then great. But that's all I can say on it. I loved Ori. If it's like Ori, you're going to have a good time. But I don't know enough about it. None of us do, really, truthfully.
That's good shout. Let's move on. So something that we came completely out of left field. I'd not heard anything about this before, and well, as soon as it landed, we were all pretty excited for some of the things that went on. And it was from the people who made Rick and Morty's at Squanch Games. I think it's Justin Roiland, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was called High on Life.
So who does the voice of Morty? Is it?
That's Justin Roiland. That's Justin Roiland.
It's Justin Roiland because that's the first thing you hear when you hear the trailer. Is Morty's voice, and it's up there right front and centre, and it's hilarious from the get go. And we immediately thought, this is a Rick and Morty game, but it isn't. It's just Morty's voice because it's Justin Roiland. But the gameplay was, it looked bright, it looked colourful, it looked fun. I'm not really sure what you were doing. You seem to be shooting stuff with different types of guns that were usually insulting you.
Yeah, and faces or
saying something. There was one that was like little baby ones because I can make more babies, it's no problem. And then you'd fire the babies and they turn into these blobs that go and attack things, and it was like,
crazy.
What the hell is it? It looks typical Rick and Morty, if I'm honest.
Absolutely
completely mental.
Yeah.
But as far as gameplay, I don't know. I'd like to see more from what I've seen so far.
Yeah. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah. I worry, like, what we've seen is the best parts of the game there. And, like, the first time you pick up whatever new gun it is, it's my baby. It's particularly the one that tickled me was the knife, where it just...
The slow reveal
the knife was classic.
The way it creeps up, there's his face at the bottom of it.
And he's like, massive grin.
And he's like, I need more stabbing!
I need more stabby! I need more stabby!
That was absolutely right.
And then when he goes for the eyeball, instead of, like, popping it or something, he pops it out.
Yeah, like, loved it.
So...
The humour's spot on, of course.
Almost, it's very much like kind of South Park humour, almost, it felt like, as well, at the same time. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. My initial thoughts were this will be very funny. Probably won't play that much of it.
How far will that humour carry the game?
Exactly.
Is the gameplay going to stand up?
Toilet humour only carries you so far.
The last game that they released
South Park got me halfway through like 2 massive games with toilet humour, to be fair.
The last game was Trover versus the Universe or something like that, or Trover something the Universe.
Okay.
And it was originally a VR game, then it was translated to just a playing a controller. Got loads of rave reviews. Again, I never played it. I think it was out on PlayStation VR.
Okay.
So I never got to play it in the end. But again, reviews are really good. I mean, what were your thoughts? Obviously, apart from stabby knife.
I remember pretty much remembering what both these guys said. It was cool. At first we all thought it was a Rick and Morty game. The art style then started to present itself as obviously not. I thought the concept looked interesting. I love some of the one lines like "squeezing me harder," things like that. I thought it was great. As a first glimpse of a game, it looks a lot of fun. Whether it's I've got the staying power, like Phil says, is the big question. Yeah. If it's on Game Pass, which I think it was, wasn't it?
Everything was on in this showcase is on Game Pass.
Yeah, so it's on Game Pass day one. I'll punt into that 100% for a bit of a crack. You know, I'm definitely fine for that.
Hold on, I might have lied there. I don't think everything, but that was
pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to this recording after we're done because I want to get that as for my message noise. Squeeze me harder.
I'll record it for you personally.
Thanks, Chris.
Right.
Thanks.
Love it.
Good stuff. Right, yeah. So that one looks good. Definitely pop and have a look at that trailer. That was a good one.
Yeah.
So next thing we had someone from Riot Games come on, and he was talking around a lot of their games now coming onto Game Pass PC and Game Pass Mobile, wasn't he?
Yep.
So we had, I mean, these again are not really my type of games. We had League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, Valorant, and Legend of something or other. I forgot.
There was League of Legends, Wild
Wildstorm. Rune Terror?
Oh, Legends of
Rune Terror.
Yeah. Again, I mean,
I'm not a Riot gamer, to be fair. I've played a bit of League. It's good for what it is. It's not my thing. I think this is a big deal though, because we were saying, like you were saying, Phil, about the business model for League is because League of Legends includes all the heroes unlocked through Game Pass, and as Phil was saying, that's normally a purchase per hero.
Yeah, I think it's about 115 or something heroes, 120 heroes, and the idea is that they unlock certain heroes and they rotate round that rotation of characters, so you can play a certain number of characters for free, and you can kind of level up and upgrade them, but then they'll rotate that collection of heroes to another hero, and then you'll be playing different heroes that you haven't played previously. The idea being then is that you will purchase your preferred heroes, so you've got them to play at any time, and the rotation is to push people into new characters. So the idea is that you push you into that and you go, oh, I'm going to play that one, I like that one, I'm going to buy that one.
It's a good business model, there's no denying that.
Yeah, man, they make a lot of money doing that.
The first bit of crack is free.
Yeah, but they give you free crack every month.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Just different flavours.
It just sounds different when you say it, Phil. But anyway, let's move on.
I was going to say, I think overall that for the big thing here was this was a value add to Game Pass in a massive manner.
It is massively.
And I think that's what this was about. This wasn't necessarily about doing anything new or exciting gaming wise. It was about giving you another reason to subscribe to Game Pass.
And as you said, it's not your sort of game. It's definitely not my sort of game either. I've not played MOBAs, but I'm going to try it because it's on Game Pass.
Well, I even said
so why not?
It's
not going to hurt me. I download it. It's not going to cost me anything extra. I'll give it a go. Maybe I might actually like it. I don't know. Never tried it. So
and now you've got no reason not to.
You can't build anything in there.
No dinosaurs?
No.
I don't know enough about it. I bet there's somebody who rides a dinosaur in there.
True.
For me, I think for the value added point, I don't know what the cost per character is to purchase through the shop, but I would guess it's going to be fairly close to the price of a Game Pass Ultimate subscription. I would imagine people that tend to play that game probably will spend a similar amount of money on a fairly consistent basis. So I guess it's getting people.
How many heroes?
I think it's about 150.
So you think about it, if they were a quid a hero, you're still quids in, right? Yeah. Just on League of Legends, right? Just on that one game.
I'm pretty sure they're not a quid a hero.
Yeah, but if they were, they're obviously not a quid a hero. Let's not lie. But if they were a quid a hero, my point stands that it's a massive saving inherently. So
and I'm not sure what the rest of the purchase model looks like. I'm guessing it's upgrades.
There'll be cosmetics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm guessing giving people access to that will just encourage people to still spend more money because they'll start
buying your different skin for your hero or doing your thing.
What I'm saying is, if you're out there and you're a League of Legends player, I would imagine this is looking like a pretty attractive option for you. And once those games are in there, we get our Game Pass rewards as well, where they're dropping XP packs and skins and things like that. With those 5 games in there, it's going to be the games and all the characters are in there, and there's going to be an unlock probably every month. For
XP
one of those games,
or whatever it is,
there'll be something that was it Fantasy Star? Every month there's an XP booster and an item booster, and then occasionally I think they did an outfit at one point. Bearing in mind they charged 15 quid per outfit for that game, which is ludicrously expensive and not even very good quality. But I digress. I would imagine this looks very attractive to League of Legends players, and I think maybe that will then encourage them perhaps to look at other games that maybe they haven't necessarily played. People that play that tend to be quite this is the game I play, this is my game, I only play this. And
League players are hardcore League players generally.
Yeah. Exactly, and what I'm saying is, at some point there's going to be, fancy something different, and then suddenly you've got the whole Game Pass library as well. That's a pretty good
thing. I mean, though they're not really our things, it's a big deal, isn't it? League of Legends, the online esports around League of Legends is enormous. It's absolutely massive.
Isn't it the most played esports game in the world? I think possibly.
I think so.
I the only thing we know about League of Legends is Arcane, and we all loved Arcane, didn't we?
That's a whole rabbit hole, but it is probably one of the best things ever. What? Wanna be my enemy?
But I guess a double thumbs up.
Let's hope this Game Pass deal funds another one of our games.
That's coming. Season 2 is coming.
It's got to be on the way.
Season 2 is coming.
Yeah, it's critically acclaimed, that first series from everybody. So
Netflix made some bank on that.
They did.
It's a brilliant series. But anyway,
next one. So then we had Plague's Tale Requiem, which is the second Plague's Tale game.
Coming out this year, apparently.
Yes, yeah. It looks like it came. It's going to pick up pretty much just after the end of the last game. I still haven't got to the end of that game. I was playing it and I never quite got to it. But the first one was very much. I guess it's very much like a puzzle game, but it is very cinematic in the way that it is.
Beautiful visuals.
Yeah. You have the rats, the plague of rats that will come in. You have to kind of make a path with fire. You may have to burn things to make other things fall. And it's got platform elements, and saving you traveling with your little brother and saving him. But one thing that really kind of stood out to me with this one was it seemed like the combat seemed a lot more prevalent in it. There was, because you had sort of combat in the last one, which was like a slingshot. You could
it was kind of quite heavy stealth mechanics this time. There was a lot more positional. You want to get behind. I don't think you'd stand much of a chance in an out fight. It looked very much like you need to get behind and assassinate enemies. It almost
which is what it was before, but it was very much you throw a stone and hit someone on the head, and if you could, there was a particular way you could get it to knock them out. But it wasn't. This one, she had a
very
crossbow.
Much the David and Goliath kind of.
She had a knife. She came up and she was stabbing someone like a guard in the back with a knife.
Also, the story element of that was like playing into that growth of the character. Like she was having to kill to protect the little brother. I mean, I haven't played the first one. I've always thought it looked great, and like we were saying as it was playing, we need to both give it a go. Yeah. It's always a game that's intrigued me. I've never got around to just actually sitting down and playing it.
It's actually downloaded. I've actually got it downloaded.
I think I might as well. I don't know.
I have as well because it's quite smart. I'll tell you what did actually occur, that's just occurred to me, is it almost looks like a very kind of the remake of Tomb Raider, that journey. She starts off at the start, and like the first time she kills someone, it's pretty horrific.
Yeah, there's no blade traps in it, is there?
I hope not. I don't want to see Lara's cold
and
dead
just
eyes.
To clarify, it plays nothing like Tomb Raider.
Do you know what I mean though? She starts off and it's horrible, and
that journey,
then halfway through the game, she's like mercilessly slaying people and cutting their throats with a bottle or something like that. And it's almost like,
go Lara, go!
And it's like from the first plague test. You're just moving around the rat puzzles, and then the first time you see somebody get eaten by the plague of rats, says, it's horrific. Yeah. And now she's just outright stabbing them in the neck, and she's not even bothering with the rats anymore. She's just like, done. Yeah. Moving on. So it feels like it's a similar kind of journey to that in terms of the desensitization to the.
I thought it looked great. To be fair, I loved the look of the first one. I'm really excited to play it at some point. I'm just. We're all doing different things in space, and time is the enemy.
Yeah, I'm sure it is still on game. I don't know though. It might have come off. I don't know, but it's worth.
I got it on.
I'm pretty sure it's still
it was on the Epic Games Store or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm willing to buy that. It looked good to buy.
It's also it's not. I don't think it's normally about 15 or 20 quid anyway. It's not like a full price £60 game. So there is that.
But either way, that looks great. I thought it was a really interesting. Looked like a good addition to the series. If you're into that, I think I think it looked good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thumbs up from us. Definitely go out and try the first one. It's good stuff. Then, from there, we moved on to the next.
I mean, this was an awful looking game, wasn't it?
The graphics,
I don't know why they bothered.
Yeah, I think it could be easily categorised as an eyegasm. It was. And
there was Phil had a moment, didn't he? Yeah, Phil did have a moment at one point.
A real moment.
Did have to step away.
Forza Motorsport, the new one. So not Forza Motorsport 8, although technically it's 8. It's just called Forza Motorsport.
It's back.
I know it's a game about cars, but that water.
Yeah,
seriously. The camera starts off as it goes in, and it's just and this stream, this river going,
like a river,
and it looks like a river.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it even looks better than the one they had for Forza Horizon in the Mexican desert, and that was really amazing.
But technically, this is the new engine, so this is more advanced engine-wise than Horizon 5 is. And Horizon 5 looks mega, right?
Before you even saw a car or the amazing ray tracing on the side of the vehicles, with the reflection of the car drive, it was just phenomenal.
We should clarify before we jump through there, just some of the key points that I picked out. So the ray tracing in this game is on the track, which is a huge difference from its competition, which is the Gran Turismo 7.
Yes,
7. Yes. Where they had ray tracing, but it was only in the photo mode
or playback for
playback. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this is actually all live, and they actually had demos flying through the track whilst a race is going on, pausing it, changing the dynamic weather, changing the time of day, all of this stuff they can do, all within the race as it's
photogrammetry as well.
Absolutely incredible.
And
they also
don't have to be permanently online to play it.
You don't. Yeah, there you go. there was one shot. Tyre and fuel management as well. Was
one shot I saw, and I just remember as it that engine bay with all the gold in it, and I was just like, that's just ridiculous. It just looks. And then the next
video game porn was.
The next shot where you had your moment was that the two cars side by side.
Yeah, so basically the AC Cobra comes past the Nissan GTR, and they just slowed it right down, and in the paintwork of the GTR you could see the red and white stripes. And it was so detailed. It's just like if you played a Gran Turismo game from 10 years ago, like the reflection was that quality. It was probably better than that quality. In fact, it was amazing. Yeah. And they paused it, they slowed down, and they sped up, and it's. Wow.
I didn't see a section where it was raining. Did we see?
Yeah, we saw rain.
Yeah, they reflections on the track.
There was if you remember, it was
standing.
So if you remember, right at the start of it, they did the rise where the sun came up, and you actually got glare off of the track where it whited out across the top of the bend, and then they rotated further through a rain cycle.
Yeah, there was a bit where they were chasing you. It was the little one-seat car, and you could see in the ring mirror, and it was raining then, and you could see the water beading up on the car.
The one with the absolutely massive spoiler on the back.
I can't remember.
No, I think it was a little Formula 3.
But it looked amazing. You expect
this
game to look amazing. I think every year it comes out, or every time it comes out, it's always like, it's amazing, it's fantastic. But some of the key things on this one is that they have built it from the ground up. That's why it's called Forza Motorsport, not Forza 8. Or whatever.
New engine, all that stuff.
So, and they were talking about the fact they've actually gone all the way down to the bare bones of building how the cars handle, how the road physics are.
48 times better.
48 apparently.
That's simulation.
That was what I was going to say.
That's really been measured to the nth degree, hasn't it? But it's just like the amount of effort that's been put in to build it up again from the ground up. When you talk about the temperature of the track as it goes through the day cycle, and that has an impact on your tyres.
The level of grip you have.
It's mental. The detail.
That is the Forza Motorsport ethos, though. So since they kind of rebranded a few years ago, so I think it was maybe Forza 4 was when they started doing this. Their aim has always been they build basically a physics model for how a racing game will be, and then what they do is they layer systems on top of it to make it more accessible. So like the things like the traction control, things like the ABS, things like the steering system, the braking system, that stuff is all layered on top of these physics models. So, but at its bare bones, it's always been this physics model. So they've always had that great base. The other good thing is, I think it's from Forza 7, I believe, they've been like live scanning all of the cars and the tracks, like laser scanning the tracks. So actually,
they have to go out and find them in the wild.
They do. They have to go out and find the tracks in the wild.
No, go find the wild cars. Then they take pictures. There's a Mustang over there in that copse of trees.
I'm pretty sure it's not Pokemon.
That's Forza Horizon. It's the barn fire.
Okay,
they've already done that.
Motorsport.
Just send the guy with a big net. I've got one. I was trying to get away.
But in short, they've gone to a lot of trouble, haven't they, Phil?
Gone to a lot of trouble, but. I think the thing is they've had systems in place to build onto this. So they've already had those high detail models of the car. They've had the exact specifications of the tracks. So they haven't had to go and keep laser scanning this. Like they've got that data there. They're just building better quality assets. They can, with this, they can focus obviously on that new game engine, that new physics model. That's where they,
the damage model. Every individual scratch is shown.
Ridiculous. Like that game. We could probably just do a pod on how good Forza looked.
Yeah, we just have the video in the background.
That was just genuinely staggeringly pretty. Like,
really. But the truth of it is,
things like I said, there's leaves falling from the trees. Then they had that day and night cycle too. The fireworks and you could just go on and on and on and on and on.
But the truth is, this is why I play Forza Horizon. Because I do get bored of just doing round the track races again and again and again and again, and I just eventually I'll do it for a little bit and I'll be like,
it isn't my game.
It's not my type of game.
I'm with you 100% out.
But just bear in mind, this will lead into another Horizon game at some point.
This
tech starts
obviously,
and it goes.
I think what's exciting is exactly that. It's like the new engine, the new everything. It's starting to showcase what the new generation of consoles can really put out. And it's super exciting to see, and it makes me think whatever comes next it's just going to get better and better and better. So
to have a game to come out at 4K 60, pushing out ray tracing properly, that's the first time we've seen that on these consoles.
Yeah.
It is the first time.
I think
the only thing we see is tech demos today.
And it's that start of that ray tracing generation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, they've been back compacting into the games. It's always hitting at 30 FPS. There's always some kind of
it's an engine built for this generation.
Yeah, when you're designing with that primarily in mind, I guess you build a game in a completely different way to make that happen.
So Phil, we know that this is coming and it's starting to be utilised and they start to know about it. The AMD FSR technology.
Yes.
Are they utilising that in this, do you reckon?
I reckon they will do.
To make it work. I
think they're going to have to do that to make it work, because at the end of the day, ray tracing requires massive amounts of compute performance, and I know the Series X has those dedicated cores for doing the ray tracing, but they haven't been able to implement it previously. And things like FSR and DLSS and NVIDIA cards is the way they've been able to implement this and get those high frame rates. So I think, probably, particularly with Forza Motorsport, something like FSR is probably native built into the game. Yeah. It won't be where you've got the option to turn it on and off and select the mode. I think it'll be native to get that in there. Yeah. And that probably is the right way to do it. Like, they curate the experience they want us to see, and that way we'll always get that best experience.
Yeah. I think that it's, as people said, stunning, and a real highlight of the show for me. That was definitely one of the highlights. One of the real highlights.
It was definitely.
Yeah. So moving on to something else that looks absolutely fantastic and has done for a while now is Flight Sim. Obviously, that's been out.
Yeah.
It's a stunning piece of work. They lots of 10 out of 10 scores. Incredible technology, beautiful gaming, amazing flight simulation game. And they've now announced also there's helicopters and various other different little bits they've put into it. Gliders.
Yeah.
I was having the conversation with the guys that I was like, I get why it's great, but I get in there and I sort of take off and I go, I'm bored. I just flight sim. I don't.
And then.
In
fact, he didn't say it's not my game. I don't care about it at all. And then.
The Pelican appears. You can fly the Pelican from Halo in the game. Download it when I get home.
That's incorrect, Craig. I can get in the Pelican, I can fly it up and promptly crash it into the ground, because that's what I always do in Flight Sim.
But I would also like to point out that Craig did say it's not my game at all, and then say this is my favourite game ever.
And the thing I found out, I love the fact they went suborbital like you can do with the recent Maverick DLC, the Black Star. So that's really cool that they did that.
But you wouldn't know about that because you've not seen the film, have you? So
thanks, bro.
Yeah, Mr. Top Gun. Yeah, we just it's that moment here, people. Mr. Top Gun, the guy who's gone on about Space Top Gun and talked about Top Gun, is the only member of the podcast crew who has not seen Top Gun Maverick. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to tell you, Phil.
They all went without me. He went with his wife.
I've been
he
twice.
Went with his friends.
I've been twice.
I went with my wife.
Yeah, he went with his wife. Yeah.
It's just why?
It's Space Top Gun, mate.
You disappoint me.
Space.
You disappoint me immensely. I'm so disappointed.
I disappoint myself.
No, it's not all right. This is not all right.
My heart broke a little bit there.
It's not all right, Phil.
You're dead to
us.
Earlier.
Oh dear. Good stuff. Right, next we moved on. This was the first of seeing something. So this was a Blizzard property. So we moved on to seeing Overwatch 2. This is what's made me roll back when I said everything was on to Game Pass, because this is.
It didn't say it was.
No.
Well, I can't remember. Did it say it was? It didn't say it was.
I think with this one,
so
free to play.
Free to play.
Yeah, free to play.
Because this is a campaign. Did they say that the campaign
was on Xbox Game Pass?
Game Pass. They did, didn't they?
So I think we're looking at some kind of Halo Infinite deal here, where the multiplayer aspect is free, and that will be, monetized in terms of skins and visuals and all that stuff. And then it looks like there's going to be story campaigns for each of the characters in there, which is something they were looking to implement a long time ago to get more people into the franchise, essentially, because the character designs are so fantastic in their backstories, but you don't really interact with them because it's just that kind of that team-based kind of
battle
arena style. So yeah, it looks like the campaign will be in Xbox Game Pass day one.
So this thing, I remember when Overwatch was first announced, I remember seeing the teasers and the trailers, and I was so excited to find out more about these characters and get involved. Then I found out there was no campaign or no single player. It was all I just went and switched.
And then we all went and played Battleborn instead.
Well, yeah, you got really into Battleborn, didn't you?
I love Battleborn. I love the PvE element, as more so than the PvP. Which and I also felt that when Overwatch first came out, I think there were two different game types. Yeah. And it just after a while, I mean, I enjoyed it definitely, no question. And as Phil said, I love the variety of the characters, the different ways that you could sort of play. But just playing the same game mode over and over and over again, after all, I was just bored. And I did enjoy the multiplayer aspect of Battleborn much more, and the humour. The humour in Battleborn was really fantastic. A very underrated game. Really underrated, I think. And we had so much fun on that.
Ironically, that game, it shows how really, I think we're different from maybe some younger people who play. That game absolutely bombed, largely because of Overwatch. Overwatch mechanically was a much better game. But I think I'm pretty sure that Battleborn, they added that PvE thing quite late, didn't they? Because they knew they were going up against another hero shooter.
And needed something else.
Let's make something different. And that was quite fun, that PvE.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun with friends. It didn't get the credit it deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, so... yes, the next one. I don't know if this is auto-corrected funny on my phone.
I think it has,
because I think
it was Ara History Untold.
Yes. So it wasn't. We didn't really see much, did we? It was like a CGI trailer flying through history
with that wonderful voiceover.
I'm struggling to remember it, to be frank with you.
It was a concept trailer more than it was anything else.
It looked like Civilization. But.
Right, and it ends up on the
civilizations.
What if you were the big orb thing, and then it goes into the world?
What if you were to change
history? What's her name from
Avazavala? I can't remember what her.
Yeah, that's a fantastic Persian accent.
Yeah, she's got such a great voice. Such a magnificent voice.
You're gonna get it wrong, mate.
Yeah, because we were talking. I saw it as a friend yesterday. I showed him the first episode of Arcane because he'd never seen it. And
she plays police captain, doesn't she?
And she plays police captain, and we both said, "Oh, what a great voice!" And then we was like, "What's her name?" We were like, "Look, I'm not even touching that. I'm not touching it." Yeah. So phenomenal voice actress, and I'm really. It was a great trailer. It was a great trailer to sort of show the concept, but there wasn't enough to make any real.
Don't really know what the game is.
No. But you can go and have a look online because this is an insider sign up for it. So we think it's something. Maybe is it what you call them 4X games?
I'm gonna go with that. It's a game.
That's a good. Do you know what, Al? Good show.
Hot take from Alan.
Good show.
It's why I'm on the pod. I bring the insight.
This is why we have him. This is why we have him.
Yeah. Playing the odds. Yeah. He's loading on black and red.
And white for the hell of it.
Every time. Every time.
Both on black and red.
Then, after that, we had a familiar face come on stage. It was Pete Hines. So, head of marketing for Bethesda. So he came out.
He looked happy.
Talked, he's always happy. And he was talking a little bit about Elder Scrolls Online because you've got High Isle. He was talking right across their franchises. Talked about Fallout 76, The Pit. Which was a place from Fallout 4 or 3.
Was it 3? I think.
I think it was
3. And it still looks like it's from Fallout 3.
Yeah.
When you see it, and it's buffered by all these other games that look amazing.
Yeah, they're really bad.
It looks so bad. It's so dated. And don't get me wrong, I'm the first person to say graphics do not make a game. But when it's a massive company like Bethesda and they're still using this engine, it's a polished turd, is what it is.
At this point, that is the definition of a
seriously, it looks so dated and so bad next to everything else. And you look at things like Skyrim, the modders have been so hard at work at it. Sometimes it's easy to forget. And then you get content like that, like The Pit, and they're advertising it, and you look at it, it looks like it's from 1998.
I also think you have to remember that almost everything we saw in the thing was pretty much edging towards being series stuff. Next generation titles. This was the only thing, one of the very few things I should say, which is still legacy hardware as well. So Xbox One.
If only at some point in this showcase we find out maybe what a new creation engine would look like. Maybe we'll find out.
I don't know.
At the end of the day, we know the reason Elder Scrolls Online is in there is because that game makes bank for them. A ludicrous amount of money.
But I thought that looked pretty good.
And it's had a Series X update.
I was about to say, compared to Fallout 76, that looked pretty good. Yeah. It wasn't terrible, but
it's because it's had that proper Series X update. The problem is, and it's like kind of like I said to you guys, it's like all the character models and stuff. Like they have limited amounts of movement. It's not
the animation is just rubbish.
The structure of the play doesn't have enough bones, for lack of a better phrase. There's not enough moving parts, so they've got like their arms have got like a wrist, an elbow, and a shoulder, but it only moves in certain directions.
Instead of having each finger like articulated at 4 points, it's got like a hand that does this.
They still use mocap. They just hired our friend Jules to do it.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I noticed was I give to is with Elder Scrolls Online. It's much more that MMO sort of. It's an online thing. They're always renowned for not having as polished graphics.
Yeah, you know, every
You say that, but I think things have been going up in the past few years, where you've got games like New World coming out. That was not
some of the new ones.
Yeah, but it does look good.
You know, just because it's an MMO doesn't give it a free pass to say let's not bother about the graphics.
Right, Black Desert.
Yeah.
That game looks amazing, but you can put that next to a modern day game right now and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
And that game is, 8 years old?
But MMOs have a history of being a bit
it was out on
janky
PC well before it hit console and it was looking amazing then.
So just being an MMO does not give it.
But it is also a historical thing that MMOs are a little bit jankier.
What you tend to do with MMOs and what you always find is like the landscapes are very flat, for lack of a better phrase. And I don't mean like they don't have rock formations a bit. What I mean is like, there's a field and it's got a bit of a curve and it's just a flat texture.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at the modern games, they try and put that variation, that height,
undulation,
because it means the character model, it just they don't need as many movements in the character because it's just running across what's effectively a flat surface to that character, and they just put a bit of visual trickery.
But equally with an MMO, the thing behind an MMO is that's not what people are there for. They're there for the grind, and they want it to run on as many systems as possible.
Yeah.
So you start at the very lowest common denominator. There's only so much you can put it up. You know what I mean? So and as things coming out now, newer games, the base standard is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Like New World, it looks like an Assassin's Creed game. New World.
It does. Yeah.
But anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So anyway,
now the serious release coming up next.
So So what he did then, he teased us that at the end of the show we may see a little bit from Starfield. So we will get.
And you had a moment then, didn't you? You were excited.
I was like, yes, come on! Because I've certainly been, as
he is a bit of a tease.
I have been the most hyped certainly for that game. Probably unduly hyped.
Notice you're using the words "I have been."
Yeah.
Is there a disaster? Is there a disaster coming our way at the end of this?
It could be. Bum bum bum. Hold on, what have we got here? We've got a little thing.
Yeah, you go back to the top. Yeah.
So I've accidentally put too many N's in the Unnamed Games podcast. But you know what?
That's how we roll. That's how we roll.
That's how it's the Unnamed Games podcast.
It's that excitement of seeing so many wonderful graphical explosions in the screen today.
It was definitely not at all. I was scrapping trying to get this all to work at the last minute.
What do you mean? This is an absolutely professional outfit. Here we are in Casa de Phil, with our studio setup.
Yeah. Makeup. Yeah, we'll be with you in a minute. Cameraman, lovely, thank you. So
if you could start warming up the jacuzzi in my trailer, that would be lovely.
Yeah, HR, I'd like to speak to an adult.
I'd like to know what all you lot are on, because I can't see any of these people you're talking to. And can I have some of it?
Right, anyway, so next we moved on to Forza Horizon 5. Been out for a while, but it's the first DLC, and they have gone back to Hot Wheels.
What was the best one? I mean, let's be honest.
Bloody brilliant. Best.
No question. It looks bloody brilliant again. It's just mental
this
fun.
Did leak, I think, a few days ago, didn't it? We saw, obviously, 100% confirmed, so I think we knew it was coming, but it looked absolutely banging.
That looked fun.
Phil,
it just went straight back. I loved the first Hot Wheels DLC because, let's be honest, the Lego DLC was a massive.
It was a bit pants.
It was a bit limp. But the Hot Wheels was fantastic. I just remember racing through the T-Rex's mouth in a McLaren P1, and it was
Don't
awesome.
talk about T-Rexes.
So, later, Alan, later.
Yeah, so it looked really good.
Soon, Alan.
It did. Really, I'm sure it will be of amazing standard. What I'm excited to see with this is with Forza Horizon 5, also they put a lot more detail into the race creator. So you can, I think in the original one, you can only implement like sort of 20 or 30 objects, whereas in this, it's more like 100 objects. So I'd be excited to see what we can do in terms of creating these Hot Wheels tracks and these loops. I think that actually might be where the kind of gold will be in this.
Really?
In this Hot Wheels
what
DLC.
we were playing earlier on this afternoon?
There's a
Trackmania?
Trackmania, yeah.
Yeah,
and we couldn't
stand that. This track is insane! I can't wait to build some insane tracks.
It'll be amazing.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be.
Yeah,
that is a DLC just made for one purpose, one person only. Fun.
Yeah.
It's got no other reason to exist. It's a totally stupid DLC, but it has that thing at its core, which is fun, which is what games should be.
Yeah. On a bit of a tangent, like we were saying, we were playing Trackmania Turbo earlier on. We were playing Hot Seat, Effectively, one person picks up, it was usually me starting off. You go out on a crazy track with loop-the-loops and corkscrews and jumps, try and set a time, and then you hand the controller around. Everyone has to keep beating the time until you get eliminated. Absolutely brilliant. It's well worth picking up if you didn't get it on Games for Gold a few years back when it came out.
Hell of a fun game.
It's a great party game that you can sit, because you can have, I think, up to 16 players on one controller.
And I think we might have to have another pod, not today, about the other game we played, which I can't remember the name of. Space Lanes, was it? Space Lines.
Yes.
Space Lines.
Space Liner, whatever it was. That
kind
was,
of like
a lot of fun.
overcooked, but taking care of passengers
Space
and keeping
bus.
the ship.
But we'll talk about it on another
Space
podcast.
bus.
I think there's a bit of material there. We had a lot of fun with that.
That was good. That was good.
We'll try and do a Let's Play.
Definitely.
Yes.
Then we moved on to something else. Alan, he got so excited as we panned across and saw a dodo, and it was pecking at something. It was a little something on someone's arm, wasn't it?
What was it?
Where was it from?
I am adrift in a sea of despair.
Wow. That's not what I expected there at all.
That's not the name of the game, just for reference.
We saw Arc 2,
I
didn't
was
we, Alan?
so excited when I panned across it. There was a lady doing the voiceover, and then it crossed this hand. I think it was almost like a skeletal hand.
Yeah, it's a skeleton, yeah.
And there's thing pecking at it, and then it came up, and I immediately went, "It's a dodo!" And then the dodo's eaten by another dinosaur, eaten by a raptor, and then all of a sudden a T-Rex comes over the hill, and of course Vin Diesel's on the back with his kid going, "Hey, family!"
They didn't actually say that. We just put in the "hey, family" bit.
I am so unbelievably disappointed. My best Jeremy Clarkson impression, by the way. Because it's even less than we had last year.
Yeah.
It genuinely is.
Even less.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming out in 2023. It's not like the date is new, and it's not even specific. Of course, 2023 is a whole year. We're not even halfway through 2022 yet. Yeah. There's no new information, no new gameplay, nothing. And they were leading up to it in the press. There's still a chance. There might be something, but I was disappointed for the showcase.
You did find out that Vin Diesel can ride a T-Rex.
It was never in any doubt, man.
Well, with the power of family, anything's possible.
Yeah,
we all know this.
Yeah. So, but I don't. Again, there was something interesting in that trailer. Was the fact that the voiceover, the voice.
Yeah. Hold on, sorry, just had to come up here, and it looks like I'm gonna think this is Tempest B from the Unnamed Gaming Podcast, because that, I'm sure, is his Twitch logo. And he said, "Too fast, too dino." Yes, love it.
Yes, round of applause.
Yeah,
Too fast, too dino.
Something I did observe is the fact that the voiceover is obviously the young girl, Vin Diesel's daughter. And she's talking about that. That makes me interested. So are we going to have an arc story that is centred around this girl grown up?
It is Tempest B. Nice to see you, Tempest. Thanks for tuning in,
Thanks
mate.
for joining.
Nice.
So is it not going to be Vin Diesel playing? He's going to be a character that's shown maybe in flashbacks, teaching her as a child, and you're actually playing when she's grown up. That's what that voiceover kind of gave me a hint.
If that is the story and we don't get Vin Diesel saying family a lot, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
I don't mind. I mean, Vin Diesel isn't the most important thing. Stop it! Vin Diesel is the most important thing. Right next to T-Rexes.
And just behind.
But yeah, that's my only takeaway from what was a trailer that was about a third the length of the one we had last year. Nothing else. No definitive release date. No gameplay. No information.
Alan,
I'm on the sea of despair.
Remember,
I'm gutted.
Doesn't matter whether you build for an inch or a mile. Building's building. Anyway.
I also, though, I've got to say, I do feel for Alan, because that moment when that trailer finished, there was nothing else.
Yeah.
There was such a visible deflation and like audible deflation.
It's like somebody had punched him in the gang.
Because the format of the show is that every so often they'd show you the trailer and then they'd pan off to somebody who'd then go, "And I'm Bob Smith from the developers of this game. Let's see some of it." And then it just ended and it went to a different game. And I'm like, no!
Well, Tempest has just put up, I think he's going to grunt through it less dialogue than "I am Groot."
Yeah. He does a good job on the Groot line. I'll be honest with you.
I've
never had so much feeling and emotion in 3 words.
But you know what? Everyone laughs at him for that, but he said like 3 words about 20 times right, has made absolutely ridiculous sums of money.
Probably got about 100 grand a word.
Yeah, it's like, so who's the mugs here? Ain't us, is it?
But I am seriously hoping that there will be
tickets.
There's another extra, isn't there, coming out on Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that there might be some behind the scenes for it there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
That would be good. It's about time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. The next thing that we saw, we've seen it many times before. It has been delayed. Something that makes me feel very uncomfortable and a little bit sick is Scorn. So we got a date for that. Don't think we had a date before, but it came up with October.
October this year.
So it is coming, which is great.
21st of October specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go, not to exclude because I will come to you, but to this side of the table, because you guys being big Alien fans, it's very Geiger, isn't it?
So I'm not just a massive Alien fan. Like when I was at college, I studied Geiger's work. Sorry, not because Giger, because that's the incorrect pronunciation. Facts. And if you doubt me, it's in the back. It's in the back of Giger's Alien. It says it's Giger to rhyme with Eager, not Giger like Tiger.
Geiger like Tiger.
Yeah. So there you go. Or Geiger counter, as everyone says. But anyway, for me, it's less of an Alien thing and much more of a Giger thing. It's obviously a love letter to his artwork, to the man who died. It's hugely inspired by that. There's a lot of body horror in it, sort of it's almost fetishy horror, which is very Giger's style.
Existence.
He did a lot of very, very, very graphic stuff. It was quite graphic in the demo we saw, but compared to some of his artwork, that was positively PG. He is a very, very, very twisted, was a very twisted man, but like he produced some incredible art, and it's great to see it sort of translate to this. What that will look like my concern with this game has always been it just looks fabulous if you're a fan of his work and his art style. My worry has always been about this, that I don't know how much game there is to it, if that makes sense. I don't.
It looked very light, didn't it, on some of the gameplay that we've seen so far?
Is it just a tech demo with
but
his art
equally,
style?
is it just one of these things where they're holding a lot back so to not give lots of stuff away? It's.
I mean, if it's a puzzly type game, then you don't want to do that, do you?
And equally, if it dives really hardcore into HR Geeker's work, like you can't just show that stuff on a trailer on an Xbox showcase, because believe me, it's very graphic, very graphic, very adult, and it's like. Yeah, you couldn't do it. So it'll be interesting to see how far down the rabbit hole they go with that.
Yeah.
I'll ping you guys some visual marks to say, you know what I mean. But I say,
I'd rather you didn't.
Yeah. Well. So just
might get blocked in your inbox.
Yes,
but maybe let's just wait for the game.
He's an artist that was controversial, to say the least. So yeah. But I thought it looked beautiful, and I thought they've really captured the essence of what he did beautifully. So as a guy who spent a lot of time looking at his work, I can say that for me that was a super exciting graphic representation of it. But like I say, I'm not an expert on Giga stuff, but I did do a lot.
You're more of an expert than we are. So the next thing that came up was actually something we've seen before, but only from a CGI perspective, which was Flintlock. So we'd seen like a cinematic trailer, and I remember looking at that going, meh. It looks, it's all right. And I think I was a little bit burnt from the New World, because it's in the what's the
steampunky.
It's not steampunk, no. What's the era? It's
colonial.
Colonial. That's the word.
Colonial,
yeah. It's that similar kind of era. With I was like, it doesn't really grab me. I mean, but we saw some gameplay, and it did come up saying this is beta gameplay, subject to change. But beta gameplay is going to be relatively close to. It coming out. It is coming out early 2023, so it's not a million miles away. So I can't imagine it changed a lot. And actually, it looked really pretty good.
I was quite excited by it.
Yeah, it was quite. It seemed quite fast, quite visceral. Aggressive combat. It reminded me quite a bit of Forspoken for that PC game. What were your thoughts, Phil? On
my thoughts were the kind of same. It reminded me of Forspoken, but less magic-y and more kind of real world and more kind of exploration-y. But I mean, it looked exciting. It had the kind of third-person, over-the-shoulder perspective that we're used to. I'd like to see more. I didn't think that much of it, to be honest with you. It seemed a little generic for me.
Yeah.
I think games like that, they're going to be heavily reliant on the story to drive you through the environment, because it was quite pretty, but it wasn't amazing.
It looked really combat heavy to me. It was a lot of magic spells, jumping, attacking.
I don't know if you know. I spotted towards the end of the demo there was that those triangles keep popping up, and it looked like you could use your companion animal. You jump on it and glide to them, you target them, and they would keep popping up around enemies. So I wonder if you can zip around enemies with the companion animal. Yeah. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, but it did look,
didn't it, when you went through the triangle?
I mean, again, I'm with you. There's a big question mark still remains for it, but I thought I was it was very much not on my radar, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting, and I'm definitely wanting to give it a look.
I'll tell you what it did remind me of, actually, with that combat movement, is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You know, you can kind of throw your whip and you can basically pull the environment towards you, so you appear to sort of teleport.
Yeah, and take on that
from an enemy's perspective, and it felt very similar in that kind of movement where you'd hook on, you'd launch to that next area, and it kind of felt a bit like that. And I mean, I played that game; it's great. I really loved it.
So, I thought it looked interesting, like really out of the blue for me. It wasn't on my radar really at all.
No.
I thought it looked really exciting personally. Al?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I feel a bit the same sort of area as Phil. Really, I kind of looked at it and thought, yeah, it's all right. Didn't really grab me in any way. It looks decent enough, and there's nothing there that made me go, oh my god, that's amazing, I must play this. But it doesn't mean I'm not interested. It was just
the thing we always say. All of this stuff here, Game Pass.
Exactly.
You know,
we can all try it without any worry.
It takes a lot quicker to uninstall than it does to install.
Yeah, exactly. So next, we then had a very familiar logo and sound come up from Mojang Studios with a new game from the people who brought you Minecraft. So we think, what's this going to be? It wasn't all that different. It's still a Minecraft game. But it's called Minecraft Legends, coming next year. I don't know what to make of it.
The first thing I noticed is the blocks are smaller.
Yes.
Was it not just zoomed out a bit more?
No, the blocks were definitely smaller. Definitely smaller blocks. Yeah, definitely an art style choice there.
And it had thicker grass.
Thicker grass. There were even smaller blocks on the grass.
Hot takes here, people.
The block size matters.
We're industry professionals around this table.
We had thicker grass and littler blocks.
Well, you say that.
I mean, it classed itself as an action strategy game.
Yeah.
So what that means, I don't know.
Does anybody?
You know, again, you know, Minecraft is a game that fits into my genre. It's a survival game, building, you know, and making bases and stuff like that. It's actually one of the first ones I ever played, and it's still great, you know, even though it has a very unique graphical style. I was not a fan of Minecraft Dungeons. I like Diablo and games like that, but I didn't like Minecraft Dungeons, and I probably won't like this either. But I don't know what it means when it says action strategy. So it's Minecraft Legends. Don't know really what it is. It looked entertaining. It looked like it might be fun. I probably won't play it, but I would be interested to see more.
I'm going to give it a punt, because me and you had a blast with Dungeons.
Really
if it's any kind of like that quality, even if it's quite simple, dumbed down version of whatever kind it is, the beauty of Minecraft Dungeons, we didn't play it long, we played it we had about, 2 or 3 weeks on it?
Yeah.
And it was 2 or 3 weeks of just like, do you want to jump on Minecraft Dungeons for a quick run? Go jump on it, quick run, try and find the new version that we'd farm for a little bit of gear, have a lot of a blast doing it, do silly things, and it was
really overpowered.
Yeah, some of them were those gloves. Was it fists or whatever? We were just like running up to everything, just like following the crap out of it.
But they do want to be careful. If they just keep making Minecraft games, eventually they're going to get burnt out, and they're going to go off and they're going to go and make a game called Destiny, and everybody will love it.
There you go. Yeah, we just had a little comment in from Tempest B. Cell shading is very weird in Minecraft. He just said, looks like a group gathering tower defense mode. In Brutal Legends. Yeah, actually.
I was thinking it's probably going to be like a gather your forces, go into battle, but there wasn't. I
didn't like Brutal Legends.
Brutal Legend was a game which I always thought the problem with Brutal Legend was a massive bait and switch, because I remember getting the demo. And the demo was like this, like mini, like campaign based, story driven, like almost action heavy RPG. And then like the game came, I was so excited for Brutal Legend. Like I was really into metal at the time. I'm still into metal, but I was so metal. Like it was like Motorhead on the soundtrack. I was like, got it. And and I'm getting it, like playing that first one, I was so excited to see what came after that, and then immediately it just drives off a cliff into this really quite clunky, awful RTS-ish game, and it just didn't work at all. It was such a disappointment, because it was if it stayed in that first genre, that game would have been an all-time classic, I think. Instead it's one of these games where I kind of view it as a bit of an oddity, where it was fun.
To have Jack Black in it.
Jack Black was the main guy.
Again,
Ozzy was in it. Lemmy was in it. There was loads of rock stars in it. It was crazy.
A lot of people rate it though. A lot of people do like it.
I think for me it was just it wasn't the game I was expecting. It felt like a bait and switch, and maybe I got the wrong end.
It has got quite a cult following. So
it's Tim Schafer game. There's just like people who follow that man to hell and back.
Yeah. And Tempest agrees it was a great game to the defence parts.
Yeah,
definitely. Now, moving on to, I've got to be completely honest here, I'm starting to get into some territory. I can't remember what it was.
No.
Lightyear Frontier.
Which doesn't bode well. I was just looking at it on my phone. I was just trying to remember what that was.
I'm excited for that one. So that was the mech farming game.
Oh, yeah!
The one that reminded us of the Love, Death and Robots
Love,
episode.
Death and Robots, where they're out defending the cows with the mech robots.
Yes,
so basically it was Slime Rancher, but with a mech.
Looks like a survival builder.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, you've got a lot of buildings, so I'm surprised you've
Looks
got
like a survival builder, but you're in a mech suit.
Yeah.
And farming.
I mean, not really tough on the survival, if I'm honest, if you're in a mech suit.
It looked more like build.
Well, you don't know what's out there.
You know, build your idyllic farm and water your
But that's what it
plants
looked
and
like.
your
4-player co-op as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, build a hut and a wall and...
Looked fun. Yeah, I quite like the look of that.
Yeah,
Worth
that
a
did look
look.
good. Yeah, so that was...
And again, I believe that's on Game Pass. So
Yeah, Game Pass again. So next one was Gunfire Reborn, which was
Struggling to remember
that was a roguelite that you
that was
said.
the 4-player roguelite, and I can't think of another 4-player roguelite, because roguelites are normally that thing where the whole point of a roguelite is you go in, you die, you power up, you die, you make more powerful, and so forth.
Yeah.
And to have a 4-player version now, I just don't know how that's going to work.
you can strike me down, Darth, but I will only return more powerful than before.
Yeah, so I'm intrigued just by the fact it's a 4-player roguelite. I don't know
the mechanics
another 4-player
work into
roguelite.
that?
So is there another 4-player roguelite? Do any of you guys have a 4-player roguelite?
Not
a
off the top of my
multiplayer roguelike. I'm not roguelike.
I'm not
I'm
much.
sure.
Oh well, Returnal. That's now more.
Okay. So so this is the thing. Is this going to be a new subgenre of the thing? Yeah, but
Possibly.
I mean, it looked interesting-ish, but it wasn't anything that grabbed me.
It didn't grab me at all.
It was just like I'd probably, as it's Game Pass, we could probably jump on and play with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something I'm excited for or particularly driven to pick up.
I think it's one of those games that's likely to find an audience through Game Pass as opposed to it's going to get.
But do you know what? Having said that, like just as a point of thing, something we've played very little of, and we've said numerous times when you go back to, but it's a game we've overlooked is, and if you see the trailer for it, it doesn't look very exciting. It's Deep Rock Galactic. You played Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
It kind of had a bit of a vibe of that to it.
We dipped our toes in the water, didn't we? But we just never went
But
back.
let's be honest, we did spend too much time dancing and just laughing at the fact we could dance.
Every game, if there's dancing in it, that's all we're going to do. How many hours did we waste in Division standing on top of lorries with the snow, doing the Olympic star jump?
Today on Starliners, like we spent a good 10 minutes at the beginning. Once we found out how to dance, all of us just dancing.
That's pretty much all I did. Entertaining the guests.
The pilots were up there. We were managing the ship. Where we going?
And I'm down in the passenger place, busting a groove.
Whilst I'm having to cook steaks and bring them over to everybody. Me and Alan played Overcooked whilst you guys played. Was it Lovers in a Dangerous Space?
So we pulled off. Those passengers were happy, mate.
We were a great. What was the name of the?
I can't remember now.
No, I can't remember either. Gooblon.
Anyway, Gobulon.
Yeah,
Cosmoline, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Cosmoline.
Anyway, it was great fun. But anyway, moving on.
But actually, just very briefly back onto the Lightyear Frontier. Tempest has come up with a good name for it. Space Dew Valley. There you go.
Yeah,
Space Dew Valley.
Very good.
Right. So next up we have the Lost Case of Benedict.
This was interesting, wasn't it?
I thought it was
very
great.
interesting looking. Beautiful graphical visuals. What have they done before?
No, we were saying it just had a real element. We were talking about earlier of Another World and Flashback. Those games, that style of movement
mixed with like Inside.
Limbo, and we were saying that kind of stuff. I thought this looked really interesting.
Had some dark elements, didn't it?
Very good.
Almost some Cthulhu-y type.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Like tentacles come around and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought this looked like. I'm not saying it's a game I'm suddenly like super excited for, but I was like. On Game Pass,
it grabbed your attention.
100% going to download that and give it a
I think it's one of those, like, when you've got a weekend and you're a bit burnt out some other games, that's the one you pick up and play for your 6 hours over your weekend.
Time on your own, chilling out.
That'd be probably a really good experience. Kind of like the first Plague Tale, it's sort of a good. It's only a 6-hour game or so, but it kind of gave me that kind of vibe.
I can't see it being a long game, but I did think that looked really exciting.
Definitely, I'm going to try that one out. So the next one we had come up was a bit of an oddity, this one. And we actually had someone from the studio come out. I can't remember the name
French
of the studio.
lady.
No, the French,
I
can't remember the studio name. But it was for As Dusk Falls, which is kind of an interactive story experience game. Very strange kind of animation style, wasn't it? So it's that kind of...
animated book.
Animated, yeah. So it was like
motion book.
Frozen frames that would kind of move from piece to piece, fully voiced. But then you'd have the cars in it would be fully motioned and 3D.
It was almost like an animated comic, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's they use it to animate comics.
It was pretty looking. Now, the thing that really got me strange about this one, it's coming out in July the 19th, but I missed this because I was writing notes down. But somebody said it's 8-player co-op.
8-player co-op.
On a story game. I'm really intrigued.
I'm not sure how that works.
I reckon it's as Phil said, 8 players. We all vote on the outcome and whatever's the most.
I think the story follows the group consensus as opposed to everybody gets their own story, and then if you want to play your own story, you just play it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed to have kind of a Man of Medan type of feel to it, that kind of storytelling kind of technique, where, as you say, with the multiple players playing, everybody gets to choose, and the highest vote gets that. And it's, but as far as the visuals, they are very unique. Very unique.
I'm pretty sure it had like a panned out shot where it showed like almost a conversational tree. Where it started here and it went to like 4, and then another one went to 4, and it made me think very much of it's that PlayStation game with the end. Yes,
Become Human.
And it's very branching story, so it'd be quite interesting. And I think if there's enough branches in that story, I think actually you could have some really unique, like there's probably going to be some complete 180 options within the story where it goes in a completely different direction. So it could be really.
I thought it looked really interesting. I'm not sure it's a game I'm going to be like totally sold on, but that looked like a unique. A completely unique experience. Something
it looked like a game my wife Ellie would play, to be honest.
I think that it kind of makes me think of like almost an interactive movie. Like you invite, we'd all get together and we watch like the next episode of Obi. Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, or you get your mates together and you watch an episode of Obi-Wan or something like that. But instead of that, we're going to watch this movie, but actually we're going to decide.
It's like when you go with your friends together and you go to the cinema and watch Top Gun film.
Oh, sick burn, dude!
Boom.
You say burn, more like stabbing the knife in and then twisting it.
Stab and twist, baby. Stab
and twist.
That
was harsh.
Thanks, boys.
Right. Wow. Next one before Phil gets wounded anymore.
I've seen it twice, Phil. Twice. I've seen it twice, and you've seen it how many times?
Don't need to hear this, bro.
I'm trying to mute him. I can't mute him.
Anyway, chops.
Anyway, let's move on because there's a lot to cover.
Blade Point console launch exclusive.
Makara.
What is it called?
This is definitely Phil's department.
This is Phil.
So the reason that interested me, I don't know if it's anything to do with Black Desert, but it has that very similar kind of combat style, that massively over the top comboed chaining fight system. I've seen this and it gets recommended to me on Steam because you can buy it on PC at the moment. It's not even particularly expensive.
This is Battle Royale, right?
Yeah. My opinion, as far as I'm aware, when it was released, it was PvP, and then it was kind of a PvP Battle Royale style. So I very much kind of dismissed it because I don't really enjoy that sort of thing. But it's a very Eastern focused one. So Black Desert's quite kind of magical focused. I suppose it's very Eastern, like kind of samurais and ninjas and things like that. So really interesting concept to it. But it turns out there is a story campaign for it by the sounds of it.
New story campaign,
And all of a sudden, I'm now very, very interested in something that I'd looked at, I'd gone, and I would bring it off because I had no interest in the actual gameplay loop. I'm really interested to see what they do with this. So cool. I think the only thing I can recommend is if you've played Black Desert and you like that combat style, hopefully this will be a lot more focused because I know you've played it and you just... At the end of the day, Black Desert is just a grinding game. Like you go in there and you plough through 300 enemies and you level up a couple of times and you get the drops you need and you go back and you hand in your quest for your 150, I don't know, werewolf tusks or something like that, or whatever it is. And they give you a silly hat that means you can go and fish, and then you move on to the next area because you've leveled up sufficiently to go and see what's happening over there. And it's a man with a magical pumpkin. He's trapped in a glass, and then
download it now.
Yeah. So
call me Shoal.
But I'm very interested because for me, I always like those kind of Japanese Eastern style stories, and it's not really your jam. So this could be a really good opportunity.
Can we still say Japanese these days?
Eastern style story then.
Okay. I was just checking. I wasn't
sure. Because the Japanese style and the Korean, but like the way the Japanese tell story is different to the way the Korean audience would tell a story. They're very different styles and very even if you watch
you're Britishy.
I am Britishy, yes.
He's very Britishy.
You can go and play Hellblade, and that's a very Britishy game because it's done by Ninja Theory in Cambridge.
Yeah, Phil is very Britishy, if we're honest, isn't he?
He is very Britishy, isn't he?
Britishy, unbelievable. Anyway, I think this could be really interesting.
I think he's more Englisher.
No, I'm pretty sure you can't say that.
Let me go and get my cup of English breakfast tea. I think this could be the opportunity to marry that insane, over-the-top combat style of Black Desert Fantastic with a genuine kind of linear, like story progression in there to draw people in. I think that could be a really good opportunity for that, rather than you trying to find the story within a massive grinding game, or it's just a PvP game that turns people off when they get their ass kicked by a 13-year-old who's been playing it non-stop since he finished school.
So the next one is that one, campaign mode, June 23rd, coming to Game Pass. The next one was from Obsidian, one we'd not heard of, and that was called Pentiment. Straight away, not for me.
Not for me.
Animation, medieval.
I'm
animation.
surprised by this because who was it? It was you, Chris. Just yesterday, we were having this conversation, and there was a game that we saw where it was basically that you started off on pages of a book. And it was almost like playing a book. And somebody said, "Oh, I really like the look of that." Maybe I dreamt it, but anyway.
When you had your nap before the show.
But I have to say that you all kind of dismissed it really quick. The trailer did amp up the action a little bit. I think it's worth having a second look at. It is an Obsidian game.
The storytelling
and the visuals
100%.
put you off straight away. But the gameplay, from what I was looking at, especially in the later part of the trailer, looked interesting.
Yeah.
And there might be some really good, interesting game mechanics in there.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not writing the game off saying that I would never play it, but it doesn't interest me at all at the moment.
Yeah.
If it comes out and then all of a sudden we get, what's all this buzz around the game? I'll totally give it a go.
I mean, these days, if Obsidian make a list of toilet paper brands, I'm probably going to buy it.
To be fair, the one thing you can say is if it's a story-driven game and Obsidian are doing it, they've got
the way they tell a story,
brilliant track record of story-driven games. So we know that it will be solid, but whether it will be for everyone, that gameplay, like you say, it might not be for you, but the story will be solid.
You'll probably find there's two guys who are in the Obsidian developer's office, and they went, we've had a really good idea for making a game. They're like, what, off you go. You go and get yourself an office. You go and make your game.
You go, girl.
It might go. Exactly what they did with Grounded. It's like six people. We've got a really good idea for a game, boss. All right, I have another 6 people. Off you go. You go and make Grounded.
That's a great segue, man.
That was a very natural segue.
Absolutely beautiful segue.
He knew what he was doing there, didn't he? He knew what he was doing. It's almost like a professional there.
Almost, but still quite a way.
We talked about it, so around it.
What on earth is all this? We'll have a look at this in a second.
Full game release, I think, is where you
full game release. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I mean, this game, I've not played this for over a year.
I've not played it at all.
You need to.
I do need to.
I'm still having PTSD flashbacks about the spiders. I'm not going to lie.
When you're in the middle of just like happily building
banging away at a grass stall, making yourself a bit of a wall.
Turn around.
Huge morph spider!
The size of a bus.
it does. A little wee comes out, and the amount of time we spent our time running around basically going.
It's like I can't take the mickey out of it because the first time I played Sea of Thieves, which I know is coming up in a bit. Yeah. The first time I played that, I never forget, we were just bumming around in the galley and I fell off the ship because you're useless. And there was instantly a shower and I screamed like a 4-year-old. I was like,
I think Grounded, you say we played a year ago, and I think they've added an awful lot more content in the past year, and like most Obsidian games, they do seem to give it a lot of support. So I think we were talking about jumping back in, and it's definitely September the 3rd.
Yes.
Yeah, when that drops, I'll
September this year coming out, so definitely when that game comes out.
They've already put some of the dungeons in. But this is going to completely open everything up.
Yeah, and I get the impression they're going to keep on supporting it afterwards, but there's enough content already in there for you to get really stuck in, so worth having
a bit of a hello to our friend Phil, DJ Phoenix UK, the Sea of Thieves, a Macadaddy do.
He took me and Craig for a voyage on the Sea of Thieves the other night, and we had a great time, got loads of loot, and he was a consummate professional in teaching us how to pirate.
He was an absolute gentleman pirate.
He was a gentleman pirate. I think you know what he'll make in the future is a good captain.
I think he will.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that in a bit though. Yeah, to cut the games early.
Yes. So the next one we had, and I think if I'm ready, so Ereban Shadow Legacy, was that the one that you were thinking might be?
So that one looked very much to me like Origami.
Yeah, you said stealth ninja type.
Yeah, kind of stealth ninja. So very much it was the mechanics of Origami was kind of hiding in the shadows, and you got your shadow powers of teleporting.
Apparently, Phil says we talk such nonsense. Well, listen to history, and that's what I'd say. Yeah. Now that's nonsense, but with a pirate hat on.
Did he say us as a general in this, or
I think
did he just
just
refer
talking about
directly
you.
to you?
I spend a
referring
lot
to
of
you
time perfecting my finely honed nonsense, if I'll have you know.
Yeah, to be fair, we are experts in nonsense, so
yeah.
I will take that
Almost
as a
exclusively
Do
nonsense.
you know what?
Yeah.
I think he meant that as a compliment to us all, so I'm going to
Thank
take
you,
it that
thank
way.
you.
I've finally
Appreciate
achieved what
that.
I've been aiming for.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, it proves we've
I can
mastered
quit
our
now.
craft.
I can quit now.
So
That's
anyway,
it, I'm out.
Going back, Phil, you were
I'm
talking
not with these guys.
You're not with us. You're absolutely with us. We're dragging you down with us, pal.
Oh, he was mostly referring to the part about us calling him a gentleman.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay, that's good.
Okay, I'll let him off.
I retract that. I'm brilliant. I'm amazing.
So you can let go of the ankle you were held onto, but you were dragging me under the water then, yes?
No, you're still coming down, mate.
Yeah, so it struck me very much as perhaps a spin on that origami model. So a lot of that was about stealthing and getting in the shadows and then using your different shadow
I remember
powers.
this is now. I just remember which game it was. Sorry, I completely forgot which game we were talking
Yeah,
about. Now I
so
remember,
there's-
yes.
Yep. So it looks like, you know, a different
Nobody
time
will
frame.
notice.
It wasn't like a very much an ancient Japan style. But I mean, it looks very similar to that. We didn't see too much of the gameplay, so it's really hard to judge how
I
that
thought it looked
worked.
cool, personally. I thought it looked
It-
cool. I'm
it
not
looks-
super excited by it, but it looked cool.
They took those
appeal to me.
origami games were very much timing based, and you know, I mean, they did evolve. Like the first one was very much hiding in the shadows and timing your assassinations. The second one, they added in this kind of 4-player co-op aspect of it, which is actually something we might all enjoy, and it kind of gives you almost like an Assassin's Creed.
Unity.
Was that the French
Yeah,
one?
that had the French one with the
With the
Sorry, I just hear Assassin's Creed Unity. I just want to laugh.
But the trouble is, all you can see is the missing face and the eyeballs and teeth.
That's immediately what
That's
comes
all
to
you can
mind.
see when it's said.
For me, it was when the NPC scooted past like he was on a cart, but on the floor.
But the thing is, they fixed all those problems, and it's a really good, decent game these days. But it's like the minute you hear about it, it's like Unity.
So, I mean, this looks very much like kind of the first origami, where it's that single player, that paced, methodical, timed combats. Sorry.
Stop banging the table. Sorry. Sorry about that. We're trying hard not to touch the table. But...
So I was going to say, I like there was a point in the trailer where you could see the shadow tracing through the different lights, and I thought that looked like it could be quite fun, like trying to navigate the environment, figure out your timings. It looked interesting. I thought it looked interesting personally. I wasn't like, oh my god, I need to play it, but it got my attention.
I think we just need to see more and see what the overall game's like. Those games tend to be fairly short time frame, like you could probably play through it in 15, maybe 20 hours, so it's not a massive time investment, I wouldn't imagine. Might be horribly wrong, I guess we'll find out at some point. But, you know,
100 hours of gameplay tutorial.
Yeah, it could be another one of those fantastic jump in at the weekend and play through it kind of experiences. That's my gut feeling on that one.
Don't be joking about the number 100, Craig. That's my favourite number of the evening.
Oh, so okay.
100.
Okay, 100. I'm not sure where he's going with this, if I'm honest. But
Guess we'll find out later.
anyway,
You weren't even listening to Todd Howard, but we'll talk about that in a second.
okay, right.
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes, I know you're going with that.
No, I do. I've completely lost where I was going. That's it. This next one. So
This was a personal highlight for me. This is a game I was super excited for.
Yeah.
we saw.
And
we saw a beautiful CGI trailer of a very nasty-looking necromancer going through chopping people's heads off and casting spells.
Well, actually, I think he raised him from the dead and then chopped his head off.
Yes,
So, you know, I mean...
and then carrying the head for so much time that it became just a skull, and then coming up to what looked like a bunch of werewolves, and then raised a load of skeletons as an army behind them. And we're thinking, this looks quite cool, what's this? As we then realised...
The Necromancer.
The Necromancer class for Diablo 4.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh, we all know we're all big Diablo fans here, right? That game looked stunningly good.
Yeah.
All this new stuff we got to see, you know, those open world events which just require a lot of players. I mean, what the hell information is that? We don't know, but it just looked mega. Everything they showed in this, for me, just got me more excited for Diablo 4. Like, I mean, I know that it's we haven't seen like everything about it, but this game just feels like they haven't put a foot wrong yet now, and I'm kind of opening it up to just be disappointed. But my god, I'm excited after that trailer today. That was mega, showing us all the new bits, like the open world, the completely non-linear story progression.
That's a big thing for me, the non-linear. I did not know that was
so much stuff that I just was like, yes. I mean, that was a personal, definitely my favourite of the show. There's been a lot, and there's a lot of good stuff in this show, but my personal favourite was without question, without this game was the one that just. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for the new Diablo game now. Having been a little disappointed with Diablo 3, not that it's a bad game, just because I think like I've said this before, I played so much Diablo 2 that when Diablo 3 rolled around, it wasn't Diablo 2, so I was a bit disappointed. And it did feel different. Like this is, it feels fresh in Diablo, like from what they've said. I'm excited. It's still Diablo, but also it looked gorgeous as well, like properly, like that lighting and all that. It just looked great. I think super excited for Diablo 4.
How pumped were you from that out?
Oh, seriously pumped. I mean, 2023 can't come soon enough.
I
am absolutely gagging for this game. And as Chris was saying, the visuals look stunning, but there's loads of this, like, you know, different classes having already been shown, and you can go and watch them online. And from the get-go, the game has been looking absolutely astonishingly beautiful. And I played Diablo 2 a massive amount. I played Diablo 3 a ridiculous amount, and I'm not in the same camp as Chris in Diablo 3, where I absolutely adored Diablo 3, and I have put thousands of hours into
just want to clarify, 3. It's not like I don't like Diablo 3, it's still a brilliant game, but it was a disappointment because I wanted Diablo 2 again.
There is a big portion of the actual, you know, who love Diablo, who really underrate Diablo 3, and they much prefer Diablo, and I get it. There's much more of an arcadey feel to Diablo 3 than there is Diablo 2. And then I look at Diablo 4, and obviously I haven't played it, but from what I see about how the combat seems to operate, it's much more methodical. There's absolute carnage on screen when you're playing Diablo 3, even to the point where you need to hold down a button where a light comes up to show you where you are, and the absolute mass of bodies and a big fireball, and there's colours everywhere, and you're like, I can't even see me. And I get that impression from Diablo 4, and it's much more measured. If you do a hit, you can see it doing the hit. It's not just a big explosion. I think all that will come, that massive spectacle, but it looks to me at the moment like it's a lovely kind of slice of Diablo 2 and 3, both brought forward in a beautiful graphics engine, and that makes me very, very excited. But the open world thing is the thing that really makes me excited, because one of the things Pete said when he was your housemate, he actually made a comment, and he said, Pete, hope you're watching upstairs, and he actually said, oh, does that mean they're going to be like rifts? And it's like, of course, that's the way the end game has always been with Diablo and similar games. You give them that content and you try and mix it up and keep it interesting. From watching what a lot of Blizzard have been saying about Diablo 4, the idea is that the world you're inhabiting, this open world, is going to be the end game content. You won't just need to go and get a Riftstone to do the same sort of generic map over again. There will be content that will be in that world events, still adventures
that world event
that you
when that
can do.
thing came through the portal, we all were like, whoa!
Constantly,
it feels like they're taking the best things from sort of MMOs across the years, because, you know, this is things that some MMOs have done very, very well. You know, Lost Ark very much does that. Hundreds of players taking on world bosses, you know, very early on in that game. You can do it pretty much from, I think, the second area. And it looks like they're taking kind of some of the best bits of that. You know, one of the things that you're not a fan of in Lost Ark is it's a really very straight linear process, and Diablo's obviously going very much for that open world, much more like Elden Ring by the looks of it.
Again, it's that whole thing about here's the world, here's your character, you've done the campaign, you've got up past level 70, you're on the Paragon levels, great, good for you, off you go, there's still loads to do. And that you're just like, oh, can I go? And I think that's the one thing, because you said, like, with the end game content, that's where you kind of get, you know, like, I finished it now, I'm good, Do you know? And that, I think, is that would be the ideal solution to that problem, to have this environment that you still want to keep coming back to.
The thing that I noticed, and maybe I missed it because I was getting all kinds of excited about this, but when she mentioned dungeons, you know, just kind of, they're there. But there was no real dive in dungeons, so like for all we know, there's this whole dungeon thing yet to see, and it could be they're going to do more things with dungeons, or it could just be there's just dungeons like you know them. But imagine if there's like this whole other level of Diablo we haven't seen where they go, oh, dungeons have had an overhaul as well, and there's all this cool stuff going on in dungeons. You know, there's still stuff we haven't seen. I mean, there were surprises in this. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, it just looks like polished Diablo, you know, as you know. And then to see these open world bosses with multiple players, etc., that kind of stuff I think was such a, like, well, hold on, and then the non-linear story, etc. There was so many surprises within this that I, you know, can say that, like, I think I'm going to just put my expectations to one side and go, I'm excited to see what it's going to be.
I'm undecided whether I want to go for the Necromancer or the Druid first.
And Necromancer.
I mean, they all look fantastic, the character classes, but turning into a bear and ripping the crap out of everything, I like the cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But the Necromancer just standing like raising all the skeletons up. And
I mean, one of the things as well that we haven't talked about is they showed that shot of the skill progression in it.
Yeah,
It looked Path of Exile. Exactly. It looked mega.
And that's a double-edged sword, because in Path of Exile you can really screw up your build, and you can get to the end game and you can get one hit and you can do no damage. And
it's a real issue with the game.
But
so Diablo's been good for respecing quite fairly, hasn't it?
Whereas Diablo 3, like that, that skill tree was really quite basic. Like, you had your kind of your 4 main spells, and then you had like kind of 4 optional extras, and then you very much relied on your legendary items to then upskill those skills into something new and interesting. And particularly with the PC versions and the early versions, you'd only get like 1 or 2 legendaries per entire run through the story. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach that. Hopefully, like you said, they're very good at letting you respec, and hopefully there's quite kind of clear guidance on what each skill will do in relation to other skills.
That is actually something that they've addressed in one of the talks about it. They've actually talked about legendaries, because that was an issue with Diablo 3. They got a little bit legendary happy. A little bit. And it was like, it's like, oh, I've had another legendary. I've only got another 20 back in my stash, no problem. And it literally was that case. It got to the point you had so many legendaries, it was just ridiculous. And I think in Diablo 4, they've already said they want to make it more of a, you get a legendary, it's a special occasion. You've earned a really unique weapon that most people won't.
That can be the big problem with anything like that. Where if once you get to end game, you've got to keep that kind of drop exciting. So when you get it, it's something. But if you're too stingy with it, it's a fine line. Isn't it? You kind of people get sick of grinding for it. So they don't want to carry on, but you don't want to be like just throwing it at people like sweets, because then it becomes a non-event. You're like, oh, I got one of them, cool. It's not like I've got not got like Gavin. I've got 60 yesterday just from doing this thing. So you've got to be very careful. But loot balancing is a very fine thing. But I remember there was a very interesting thing a few years back when the game I shall not reference, but you know what game I'm talking about. They had a problem with loot, and they were saying, but Diablo 3 wrote a paper on loot about how important loot is and the psychology of loot. So Diablo are the guys who literally wrote the book on how to do loot, and they said that one thing they learned is being over generous is way better than being like too stingy. Being over generous, whilst it does rob it of its its sort of special ability, it keeps people going. Oh, I'll keep going though because I might get a better one. And people are more willing to grind to just keep getting repeated but better rolls than they are to go, there's a 1,000,000 to 1 shot, I'll get this item.
So what do? You add another level, right? You have the legendary, which you have in Diablo 3, and then you have the unique. And then they're super rare. So, you give that extra level. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'd be interested to see.
They did the gear sets as well, didn't they? Where you needed like 4 items of
it's 5.
Gear.
Gear sets is a thing that's been adopted by almost everyone now. They do it in the Division, they do it in like Destiny had it, didn't it, for a while?
Well, some of them were different.
And those sort of things. And I remember when, going back, because when the Division had that problem with loot, they were like, we're just going to ramp the gear drops up. And you're like, well, what does that mean? They're like, you can get, because at the time, like for example, gear set was really hard to come by. You could only get it from named bosses. And you had to run missions. And then they were like, oh, we're just going to get it from, you can get it from anything now. And that's kind of where Diablo went as well. And so I'm hoping that the Diablo system carries on that, and it's generous with loot, it's exciting to play, and I'm hoping when we get these massive bosses, they shower us with loot, they're a really rewarding task. I'm super excited for this game.
Me too.
Really
I think that everyone's pretty excited for it. It looks fantastic.
It was definitely
the only
my
downside
2023.
One of the guys in there, he says,
I was going to bring this up.
So close, and we all got a bit. Oh, really? Are we? Well, 2023 is not close.
So close.
I mean, it's close in the grand scheme of the universe, but not in terms of when we want games released.
Is next week.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take the end of the month as close, maybe, but we won't take 2023 as close.
But wait, when it's ready,
I'm just still disappointed that Todd Howard didn't announce that Elder Scrolls 6 is being released next week, if I'm honest.
To be fair. Well, I think what he's got in that row of jackets, he's got it set out so his jacket, but they're one for each year. It's in the pocket of one of those ones. He just keeps moving it between the jacket pockets.
That's what it is.
Anyway, so moving on to the next bit. We won't spend a lot of time on a couple of these because Sea of Thieves,
small update. It's a big update for the players. It's not.
You can name your ship. I mean, this isn't a small update. It's a Boaty McBoatface,
and you can be a captain.
Because they can't use Boaty McBoatface, but we all know what it was.
And you can set your cabin out as you want it with your trophies you've earned, and
you can become a captain. You can have one captain per ship, I presume. And
if Phil is in the chat, I'm sure he'll let us know his thoughts on this because he's a big Sea of Thieves player. We've dabbled in it a little bit. I've played a bit. I think this is a great update.
What does the captain mean? What does it mean?
It means you're in charge.
But
well, you can own.
You're the only one who can change the stuff on the ship.
I said you could own a ship, and then I guess we would join if you were the captain. We would join onto your ship, and it'd be your layout and your cosmetics.
Yeah.
If we joined on Chris's ship, it would be his ship. And
this is the thing. One of the things I've always said about Sea of Thieves, and they've got better with this as they go, is one thing that
that I always found when getting started on a game of Sea of Thieves is a real mission, because you load in, and until you get to buy these storage crates, you used to buy, and you can now buy from merchants with your gold. You used to literally have to wander the whole island, spend like 30 minutes getting your ship ready, and then you go and sail to somewhere else to get more loot, just to then go and do a quest. So it took you an hour to get going.
So your ship will now be ready when you load in.
All that cosmetics is done. So all you need to do is go buy your stuff from the merchant.
I'm on board.
Get on with the adventure. So I think this is just, again, streamlining that getting going experience, which has always been a bit of a, for me personally, has been a bit of a stumbling block with Sea of Thieves, which is why I like sailing with Phil, because Phil will get all those stuff ready and I'll just jump on and be ready to go. But it's also, to be fair, he's also my mate, and I like spending time chatting with him. But it is this thing of, like, for me, that's been a big hurdle for me hitting Sea of Thieves. So I think it's a great patch. I think it's going to be a really good quality of life thing for the community. I'm super excited to see where this goes. I think I've been watching a lot of Sea of Thieves recently.
Wi-Fi.
You're on the Wi-Fi.
Sorry if it's breaking up there.
Sorry, my bad.
Alan was trying to hog the Wi-Fi.
I was looking at something. My bad.
So I'm super excited for what this brings to the community. I think this is going to be a good thing. I'm keen to set sail again. Try some finish out.
Definitely.
We had a good
I'll be happy to do a couple more sea shanties.
Phil's just said, get off the Wi-Fi. Obviously started to cut out the end.
Brilliant.
Great stuff. Anyway, so next one was Ravenlock by the people who did Echo Generation. It looked a little bit Zelda-y, kind of pixie.
Nice art style, looked interesting. Nothing to grab me overly. I'll give it a try because it's on Game Pass, possibly. But
then we had Cocoon, which was an exclusive world premiere.
Can I just also take a moment, just as you did that, to say congratulations on everyone here for partaking in the awesome. Whenever world premiere came up, we would fill in for voiceover here.
Okay, just one for the audience.
Okay.
After 3, 1, 2, 3.
World premiere.
There we go.
That was like literally for the whole presentation. We were all on it, like every time.
So this one was Cocoon. It was from the people who did, or one of the people who created Limbo and Inside.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of it. Looked very
Balls, the game feel, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly. As far as I could tell, all you did was you picked up a ball and you moved it, and then you dodged, and then you picked up another ball, and then you dropped the ball somewhere else to get another ball.
I think they were cocoons, if I'm honest.
They were ball shaped.
I'm just guessing, as the game is called. Cocoon.
I mean,
maybe the balls were inside.
Bally ball balls.
Bally bug ball.
Balls.
Bug balls. Let's call it bug balls.
Get off my balls. That's what it's called.
Balls.
You're a little bug with wings.
Okay, there you go. That's what it is.
So then next after that, this one's a bit more towards you, Phil. So we had Phil come out, Phil Spencer. He came out talking about obviously the Japanese industry, Japanese market, shall I say, and wanted to cater a bit more to that. And he came up with a couple of games. So there was Wolong Fallen Dynasty, early 2023. Yep. And then we also had the Persona games as well. Kind of, I mean, they're not really...
3, 4, 5,
so the Persona games have traditionally been a very PlayStation exclusive experience. They then sort of gradually moved over to PC, and then finally, after Xbox decided they wanted some Japanese market share, we saw Persona 5 Strikers come onto Xbox. And basically what they've done is they've gone...
Is that a football game?
No.
Okay.
No, it's a
I can't believe you made that joke on one of them. I'm disappointed in you.
It's not like
You'd
Shaolin
expect
Soccer.
it from me, but not Craig.
It's not like Shaolin Soccer, if that's what you're thinking.
Damn it!
It is very much a very heavy JRPG, so it's very much story-driven. It's leveling up. Persona, for example, is set in kind of two worlds. There's the normal world where you're a student, you go to school, and you have an after-school job, and you have to do your studies and your homework.
Sounds so good, Phil. You're really selling it.
And then the other
you
side
play as a student, and you have to do an after-school job and your homework.
You do.
Sign me up.
And that's how you level up your stats to improve your character. And then in the evenings, you then dive into people's dream worlds and you progress through their dream world. And the idea is you'd get to the centre of their dreams and you'd change something to change their outlook on life, and that would be the completion of the dungeon.
So look, I have to say, like that bit of the game, he told me, I was like, that sounds quite interesting. It's the bit that you have those grindy stats up by being a school kid. I'm like, that is dull.
It's not like grindy. It's like you go there and you go, okay, I need to go and work at the shop this evening, and you do that, and then you come back and you've got my stat leveled up, or I need to do my homework, and then that stat would go up by 1. It's not, you don't have to go there like in Fable where you've got to sit and make your pies.
You're not sat there doing long division.
No. It's like you just decide like this is what I'm going to do for my evening, and then you can
lines.
I will play more Persona 5. I will play more Persona 5. I will.
So very much, and they're basically just backfilling the Persona series onto Xbox. They were
which is
Persona
great
5,
for the people who enjoy
Persona
that.
4 Golden Edition, which was like the definitive version, and then the Persona 3 was I think it was a mobile game, it's like a PSP game that they
said it was Persona 3 portable, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was a PSP game essentially that they've then put back onto there. As I understand, they were the most popular of the series, and then we've already got Persona 5 Strikers anyway. So, and I think they also said Persona 5 Royale as well, which is another separate game again from a spin-off in that Persona 5 world as well. Can't help it.
Stop banging on the table.
I can't remember. Articulate with my hand.
Articulate in the air then.
Yeah, I'll try that. So yeah, I think. They're trying to get the Japanese market. There's a lot of people out there that love these games that have previously had to play them on a PlayStation. Like I said, they've more recently moved it over to the PC. Persona 5 Golden, I think, hit PC sometime last year.
Okay. So what about Wolong? What was all that about for you?
Do you know what? I can't actually remember that much. I'll be honest with you. It looked for like a kind of Dynasty Warriors. I'm not really sure because it didn't show us too much. I mean, it looked very pretty. It looked very Eastern. I'm sure it will be fantastic.
You'll love it. It was a CG trailer, though, wasn't it?
It was basically a CG trailer. Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at it thinking, that looks interesting.
Yeah,
but I couldn't tell you what it's about because we just don't know.
Was it a CG trailer? We just don't know anymore, do we? We just don't know anymore, genuinely.
Yeah.
Because you thought Forza was a CG trailer, they didn't show you it.
Yeah, so what we can say is it's probably an in-game engine trailer.
Yeah,
it wasn't representative of the gameplay of that, so I don't know. I mean, it might be very much like that Black Wukong game that we saw that was kind of like Monkey King Dark Souls, for example. So
that looked good.
That did look good.
Still coming. Yeah, still coming.
Still on the way. So
Unreal Engine 5 now as well.
Yeah.
Moved it from 4 to 5.
So it might very well be something similar to that. It might turn out to be Dynasty Warriors, where it's just you versus 500,000 people, and you just
can you
slay
imagine how
them on
many
horseback.
people you could have now, like in a game like that? Yeah. There's so many NPCs,
and just like the original Xbox One, and was it Dead Rising 3? Each zombie is like a snowflake. They're all individual.
Birds are all snowflakes.
They're all covered in blood.
You're all individuals. I'm not.
So the next one,
continuing along the Eastern market kind of push. Well, we did a podcast a few months back with a rumour that a certain pretty well-known game developer was doing a bit of a project with Xbox to do with cloud, and that has been confirmed, hasn't it, Phil?
It has. Hideo Kojima is officially making a game that will be on or using Xbox cloud processing.
Microsoft's cloud technology.
I don't know what that means.
I was going to say, what did we find out? Not a lot.
Absolutely nothing. We don't know what it's called. We don't know what it's doing. We know it will be absolutely insane because it's Hideo Kojima.
Nuts.
And he's got Xbox backing now, which means more monies, which means more nuttiness. And I'm sure he'll have Norman Reedus in there because he absolutely loves that bloke. Although I have heard rumours of was it Death Stranding 2? So
well, I think that's a really, really big plus point, big win for Microsoft. That one, huge deal. I think, a lot to be.
What you can guarantee is
as Tempest B has just put on here, basically a middle finger to Sony. It really is. He's worked so closely with them for
what I also think there was what Kojima said about like I've never been able to do this before, and Microsoft technology is enabling me to do this. So you can tell like Microsoft have gone after him and basically thrown like, what do you need to make the dream project? We'll make that happen if we can. And you can just tell if like the wallet's come out big time.
I'm sure there's a lot of money, but I think it's very much they said it's cloud based, and I know PlayStation use the Azure servers to back up some of their cloud technology, but
no, that is their cloud technology.
That is their cloud technology. But with Xbox owning that cloud technology, I'm sure they probably are ahead in the game, and I'm sure there's something that's up here in his crazy mind that he needs something specific. The cloud technology only delivers.
Are you though? Are you sure there's something up there in his crazy mind? I mean, I'm not a massive Hideo Kojima fan. I've made this very clear. I think some of the ideas he has are revolutionary as far as gameplay mechanics go. I don't think we're always ready for them.
That's kind of what
his previous game was a postal delivery service game.
Fantastic.
And in the cloud, I can't help feeling this sounds to me like it could be a financial management game,
but
with babies in bottles. because that's normal.
Maybe it's an NFT game.
Or maybe we can all put a box on our head and nobody will be able to see us.
What we can be confident about is whatever it is, we aren't going to expect it. Because every time that guy wants to do something that he's been thinking about, like, who'd have thought he would have done a postal delivery game? And yet I played it and I thought it was brilliant.
It's like Stanley Kubrick. Nobody ever stopped to think, Stanley, do you think you should do that? I'm making Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, Stanley, no problem. Off you go. You go and make it. Here's as much money as you need. Nobody ever stopped to go, Stanley, do you think, really?
And
nobody ever does that with Hideo Kojima.
2001, so do you know what? He's allowed to make an Eyes Wide Shut every once in a while.
He did make
Metal Gear Solid, which a couple of people like.
And and like I say, like whilst Death Stranding might be a little divisive, I know that not everyone really got on with it. I know that it's had untold amounts of praise leaked on it as well. So there's a very much there's a market for these games, and I think for Xbox, just on a business perspective, up until now these have always been Sony driving. So if you're a Kojima fan and you want to buy his latest game, the potential is going to be in the near future that the only way you'll be able to experience his game is on a Microsoft system, whether that be a PC or an Xbox, and Microsoft
or mobile.
And and as we've always said about this, and I know like the Sony Sony ponies have come out and called Xbox, but Microsoft's strategy has never been about selling Xboxes. You like to sell Xboxes, and they fuel that system seller, but their strategy long term is about Game Pass and about subscriptions and about services.
It's about family,
and it's about family. And they want to drive those people to that ecosystem, and they are going to do that because they are going to be, whether they like it or not, they're going to be Kojima fanboys who are going to have to pony up for a PC or a Game Pass subscription to play on their laptop or whatever it may be, and it's a brilliant move by Microsoft.
Absolutely. And I am being facetious, don't get me wrong, because I totally understand it's like the mechanics that work in Death Stranding and about the fact that you have all these people coming into a world and leaving things for other players and building almost this environment that evolves as people come in and
they build a bridge
bridges and things. Exactly. That's a revolutionary idea, and that's what he brings to the table. Whether it works in his game or whether somebody 5 years down the line says, look at what he did, we can incorporate that into our idea and our IP and our game, because he's an innovator. And that doesn't always mean that his games are completely playable and palatable to everybody, but they certainly always bring something new to the table. So I am being a bit facetious.
It's super exciting to see. I mean, you're much of you're obviously a Kojima fan, so I'd imagine you're excited by this.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that stands out for him is, like you said, there'll always be that new bizarre mechanic, but it's just the attention to detail. Like if you play any of the Metal Gear Solid games, there's so much absolute madness. Like, who'd have thought that the mechanic of hiding in a cardboard box was a brilliant idea? But yet it worked in Metal Gear Solid 1. By the time you get to Metal Gear Solid 5, you can stand up, you can stick a poster of a lady on there, and then you can stand up, and it confuses the soldiers because they see a lady on a box. And
then we also have the thing where, there's this assassin who can't wear clothes because she has to breathe through her skin.
That's a different thing, though, isn't it?
Let's not go there. Let's not sour the milk.
No.
We don't talk about that side of Hideo.
No.
At this point, all we know is it's coming to Xbox. It's going to be new. It's going to be mad. It's going to have his attention to detail. And
it's fantastic for the Xbox community.
I can't wait to find out what it is.
Yeah,
I think, like, just go on to say, I think if Microsoft are enabling him to do more crazy stuff that he's always wanted to, it's fantastic for gaming. Like you said, he's an innovator. He drives new things. He will push technology forward, push the gaming industry forward. It's a great thing.
He's going to use the cloud for something we've not seen before.
Absolutely. If we'd have thought of it, we'd be doing it.
Exactly. So he's going to come out and he's going to go, look, you can do this. And we're going to go, wow. I might not want to play the game he produces, but...
he's a gaming superstar. He's a rock star of gaming,
Just a bit.
Everybody knows him. Everybody knows, love him or hate him, he's a rock star. And
big play for Microsoft.
Oh, definitely.
And that's how I feel about Todd Howard.
There you go,
Segue.
I love Todd.
Todd, he did look like a bit of a rock star, a bit of an Asian dad rock star, but he did look like one of his brown.
Well, that's it. That was it. Because there was nothing else on the show, was there?
It was a shame there was nothing else. I'd love to have seen Todd come out in his brown jacket and talk about, I don't know, what's he got? Starfield, maybe. Oh no, hold on. Yes, he did. He came out, and yes, he gave us quite a bit of gameplay.
He did.
He ponied up. Big time.
I'm very surprised that you managed to contain yourself that much at this point in the thing, because genuinely, I thought you were going to explode when this came on. Because
I had butterflies.
I'll be honest. I think all of us went in with three of us we're kind of excited, but also very trepidatious. You know, we know what creation engine's like. We've seen the jank earlier in the show.
Bethesda. I've been burnt before.
Exactly,
and
Fallout 76 has been on there, and we were just like, oh god.
They set the expectation low by showing us some polished turds.
And Craig, tell us all what we saw,
mate. Well, when we first opened up, you saw the ship come in and land on a moon, and oh my god, the moon, the environment, the level of detail was straight away. You're like, oh, everyone went, oh, that's looking nice. It was sharp, it was crisp, it looked good. The ship then lands down. You then see inside the ship as the ramp comes down. The robot starts to walk out, and you follow him out. And then he just starts walking around.
There's little bugs walking across.
Little bugs moving around.
I wasn't the only one that thought you were in the robot when it walked out the steps, right?
I
thought, he's walking out of a robot.
It's a Bethesda game. It was first person.
But I can see that as he walked out and the bugs went across,
then
switched to third person, pulled a weapon out, and actually, the model looked much better. Everything, you could tell it was a creation engine, but you could tell it was a new version and a next gen version.
As we said, they are defining jank for the next generation.
That's it.
Whilst it isn't as janky as the old generation stuff, it's still a little janky, but in a next generation way. But having said that, it might be a little bit janky. Oh boy! Oh boy!
He then headed down.
It's janky in an endearing manner.
Oh yeah!
He then headed down to a base, so kind of the area that you're supposed to be. Head into that. Fought a bunch of pirates, didn't he? And we saw the gunplay.
Yeah.
Crimson Pirates.
There was one gun looked a bit pony.
I
love the shotgun.
But the combat looked really fluid and fast and smooth. It did. It didn't look like your normal. I mean, your normal combat in Bethesda games is it's good, but let's be honest, it's not great. It's
its own thing though, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas this felt much slicker. The way he was moving, as you said, it was very fluid, moving from one place to another. Didn't see any VATs. Doesn't mean it's not there.
No, it doesn't.
But it felt like the focus was on getting around the environment and using the environment to your advantage rather than
like
stand there in a numbers game.
It did feel like an FPS at that point. So I mean, I think that, like, as someone who has traditionally not got on with Bethesda's combat loop, that made me far more interested in the game instantly. I was like, okay, this looks like a game I would want to play. Like, I feel more engaged with it. Like, from what I like to see. So again, there's a lot still to be seen, but that little bit of combat, I was like, all right, that looks good.
At this point, you're sitting there going, and us three are sat there going, looks quite good. Looks quite good. We haven't quite got there yet.
At the next point, we then come out and he starts talking a little bit more about Constellation, which is the last kind of Space Explorers Guild. You then go to another planet, which is the Space Explorers Guild's planet, and again,
lots of people, NPCs that really
alive. Look really good animations. That's one of the things we've talked about. Things like Skyrim and Fallout. The animation,
facial animation has really been.
You can still see its creation engine, but it's much better.
That gawky look to it.
And I think I really liked when we were talking about, and I hope it isn't a cyberpunk, like the place felt alive, felt like there were a lot of people, it felt real, really real, and like lived in and working, and I like that, like all too often with games like this, Cyberpunk really suffered from this, where you probably because they oversold it. When you got there, it felt very empty, like in massive quantities of it. It just didn't feel like there was anyone there, and it was just like that hurt it in its immersion. And I think with this, it instantly felt, and I think they also, which is very clever, having everyone almost everywhere have to wear spacesuits.
Yes,
it gets them really reduced asset load in a big way as well. So I think it's a really smart move on their part.
But that was just one location.
But I also think that's not only very smart for storytelling and for asset management, but it's a very smart for selling that environment, because if you're talking about a spacesuit, I think like that, it's going to be mass manufactured. It's going to be something that everyone will have a very similar thing. There'll be a few designs of it, sure, but there will be a generic pattern for a spacesuit, and it will be used like that. So
they then talked about your spaceship a little more, and it turns out that, as he said, oh yes, there is space combat.
Yes.
So you can fly around in your spaceship.
So we're not sure about how the transition from the planet to the space works.
Yeah. But what they did
you get a lift off, visual.
We'll get to there. We'll get to there.
Take it in chronological order.
We've got the shipyard to come as
space combat.
So space combat, flying.
That wasn't there.
So all sorts. Then we talked about the character creator again. A lot more versatile character creator than we've ever had before.
I was super impressed with the way you could give personality, except there was so much in the character creator.
I just want to have a scanner so I can scan my face into it.
I really don't want that.
I want to play me. The ladies in the game would be falling over.
They'd be doing something, mate. I'm not sure it's falling away.
Running, screaming.
It would be automatically charisma 10. You can't change
10?
it.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Out of 10.
Thanks.
Out of 10.
He's got no strength, no dexterity, nothing else, but the charisma's at 10.
It's just a wall
the
of
ladies
charisma.
are flowing.
Oh, yeah.
And then, for me, there was the first, absolute home run, smash that apart, the shipyard, the ship creator.
Yeah.
You can build your
That
own
was
ship.
awesome.
They talked about settlements, which was like, okay, cool, settlements again, they've done that before, but building your actual ship. And they were various different shapes, big, long, battery's low, look, there we go. So, we'll finish up very, very soon. So, the...
if we disappear, that's why.
Square ships that look like freighters for cargo. You had more fighter-looking ships. There were loads of different shapes and sizes. Looks like you could really have good fun with it, doesn't it? And then we jumped out, didn't we? And he said to talk about just how big it was.
That was mental.
Go on,
I mean,
I'll
as
let
I
you-
said earlier on, 100, that's the key word. So I say this with both excitement and trepidation. Okay, so he said that you can basically fly anywhere, and there's like multiple planets, and you can land anywhere on a planet.
Yeah.
Now, as to how big that planet is, that's undecided. You think about No Man's Sky.
It's a
The
planet.
but is it a proper sized planet? Is it going to take? You're going to have to come out of orbit to go and land somewhere else. Or, I'm curious, but that is fantastic in itself. And some of the different environments we saw looked amazing. And
Loads
then he
of
then
environments.
compounded on that by going, "Oh yeah, and there's at least over 100 different systems."
Wasn't it? He said like the planet you land on initially, you can land anywhere on that planet, and then anywhere else in the system.
Yeah.
And there are like 10 planet systems, and then there's at least 10 systems. Isn't it?
No, 100 systems. He said 100 systems.
And it was just like,
Yeah, so you can land on planets anywhere on those planets, multiple planet systems,
So we're looking
and
at-
over 100 systems. Now, again,
That's
I
well
said
over
trepidation
1,000
here
planets.
because having 100 planets, if you think back to when you could land your Mako in Mass Effect, having a whole planet you can land on doesn't necessarily mean there's something to do all over a planet.
It won't be.
No,
but it's just
So-
that it's
It'll be
technically
curated
a massive
settlements,
achievement.
but it still sounds far above and beyond what I was expecting.
100%.
I was thinking-
It feels Star Citizen.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Because Star Citizen, there's planet. You can't land on every planet. No, hold on, can you? Yes, you can land on every planet. The planets you land on, though, some of them will have a base on a planet in a particular location. The rest is just procedurally generated rock formations. There will be a lot of that on a lot of the planets, but I'm hoping that with this they'll be able to have various different, maybe there is like dungeons that you're going to do, or various settlements on different areas. I think there's going to be large areas where there's nothing.
I have to
Hopefully
say,
a
it
lot.
kind of makes me think of Outer Worlds. I think this
Yeah.
competition between, and it's a secret, it's not really a public one, but between Obsidian and
Yeah.
Bethesda. Like,
Yeah.
Obsidian, we can make a better Fallout than you. Now we're going to make a Valve, which is going to be a better Skyrim than yours is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm sorry, at this moment, Starfield is
Starfield
way
is
ahead of Outer
super
Worlds.
exciting now, super
way
exciting.
ahead at this point.
This
I
is
haven't-
not what I expected in the
I wonder-
slightest from them. I think they
Exactly
smashed
what
this.
I wanted,
Yeah.
and they delivered on what I wanted.
Something we didn't see is whether there's going to be any kind of in-game economy. So I imagine there'll be a lot of kind of mining of resources.
Well, there was that
did
was
see
mining.
some mining,
Did see mining.
which I
Mining.
wonder if maybe a lot of those, or a percentage of those planets are more like a mining resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to a
that
specific
could be
system
you'll
to
be able
find
to-
a particular
you'll-
element or some sort of
Yeah, you'll
ingredient.
scan that planet and
Because
it'll
they-
say you need to land here to mine this.
I would say anything we've already seen in Fallout 4 or Skyrim is going to be in this game
Plus
in some
more.
form or another.
Plus
So you're
more.
going to have all that crafting, you're going to have the base building, you've got the ship building, you've got all of that as
Space
just as a
combat.
basic framework from what I can see.
So hold on, I've just got to point this out. Do you know what this is? Potentially.
What?
It's Space Top Gun.
Space Top Gun!
Base
I told you I wanted Space Top Gun, and they're bringing me Space Top Gun.
Top Gun film. So, unfortunately, we haven't got the Top Gun theme to play out with, which is a little shame. But Alan has done a good job of mimicking it. It's not quite as epic as Harold Faltermeyer's legendary Top Gun anthem. I'm going to
Probably best because we won't get sued now.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Copyright
We'll
protection.
probably still get copyright strike on YouTube because we filmed it. Yeah,
Probably.
because the algorithm
Right.
will pick it
I
up.
feel the need.
The need
for speed.
Right, on that wonderful, lovely note, that's been an awesome
That's been
time
fun.
today.
Today's been great.
It's been the
Really
best
nice.
podcast ever. Actually,
Yeah.
sitting with
And
you guys.
do you know what?
And
It's-
a great game of Talisman last night.
Yeah,
you can see it
great
on our
game. Yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
feed. Fantastic time
Yeah.
with you guys.
Also, it's nice to finally meet Alan. We've
Yeah.
met for the first time
Yeah,
this
yeah,
weekend.
in
It's
real
been great.
life.
It's been great to hang out, eat
Oh,
some barbecue
lovely
food, do all
moment.
this stuff. It's been a
Lovely
really good
moment.
weekend, and that Xbox showcase really topped it off. Cherry on the cake, that
Yeah.
really
Great
was
stuff. So,
awesome.
yeah, that's a... Oh, he's got an alarm.
time for me meds.
Time for his meds.
That's a bye from me. It's a bye from Phil.
Bye-bye.
It's a bye from Ratley.
Goodbye.
And it's a bye from Alan.
World premiere.
Premiere. Xbox exclusive.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.